validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
Ooh. How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. We're on Sunday. We made it. It was a mission, but we got here. Special shout out to Steven. Steven, I know that you were telling me earlier in the membership, you were giving me some information about, because you've seen the asymmetric risk video, the short that I had put out. And I know a lot of people are popping right now because they've seen that asymmetric short that came out earlier today. And he mentioned that that he's been trying to run that single route, but he's rethinking his position as it stands. And, I reminded Steven, I'm like, hey, the calculating your asymmetric risk in a relationship is not about being single. It's not about avoiding happiness for the sake of financial growth. What it's about is calculating and evaluating the return on your investment. Not all the time is the return on your investment actual capital gains, but when you're in a relationship, a romantic relationship, you're in a situation where you're investing in this relationship some kind of way. For men, it's more often than not financially. We put in physical labor and financial resources into the relationship, but For women, it's less often financial resources. It's more often physical labor and emotional comfort and all of these other things, physical intimacy and everything to that effect. The women provide the childbearing and all this other stuff. Now, relationships have devalued into transactional relationships in modern 2026 in Western culture, specifically because men are giving up so much for the companionship from the woman that it is not a fair trade. Okay. Women want financial stability, men want the companionship. So, since women hold more control and put more value on their desire to get that financial stability, they leverage the desperation of men for that companionship for even more capital gains for the same value of companionship that every woman is offering. Exactly. Stop giving your masculinity away. And that's one of the biggest reasons why that asymmetric risk short is very important, because it's not about saying, oh, don't get into a relationship. No, you should be able to get into one, but you should not sacrifice your masculinity so that you can be in a relationship. Like I told Stephen, I said, look, a lot of men are trading the physical intimacy for their resources and her authority over his resources and his submission to her and her authority just to get the companionship. And the women that are doing this are calling this an equal trade. Well, if the shoe was on the other foot, and I always talk about uniformity, if the shoe was on the other foot, would it be a fair trade for a woman to work all day, come back, give all of her resources to her man, and do whatever he tells her to do? Most women would say no. She worked for what she's got. She deserves to keep it and do whatever she wants with it. So there's no reason to believe that on the current dynamic that we have, that men should submit to their dependent in order to be treated equally. Now, one of the things that I've noticed, because I've talked to some people, he said just to get laid, sex is power. Yeah, that's what men are doing. They're trading it just to get laid. Yeah, they are. Now, the odd part is that I was talking to a guy. I told y'all yesterday. I was talking to a guy yesterday, and he was talking about his wife from the Philippines. And there is somewhat of a matriarchal environment inside of a patriarchal society. And in the Philippines, the women lead the household by going to work, making the money, coming back, taking care of the family, cooking, cleaning, making sure the men have what they need. The men, primarily, their responsibility is to protect the women physically and then do like heavy lifting that the women can't do. But beyond that, the women actually put so much effort into catering to the men. So the men don't have to be the breadwinners. The women will be the breadwinners, but the women will be the breadwinner and still protect and respect and support her man's capabilities to protect and provide for the family. Now, in a patriarchal society like the United States, if you take that leadership capabilities from the Philippines and incorporate that into the Western society of equality, you would end up with a woman that's willing to go to work, make money, come back to the house, and partner with her man, not dominate her man, to make sure that he has everything that he wants and needs. And then she's cooperating with him to balance the budget so that they have extra money to invest and grow and improve. So like I told Stephen, I said, bro, you need to calculate in every relationship you get in your return on investment. And your return on investment is not so much how much money you get back off of the girl you invest in. The return on investment is how much do you benefit from this woman after you've invested in her. What is she doing to improve you and your way of life so that y'all together will be better than what you were alone. That is when you're gauging your return on investment in a relationship. And women do the exact same thing, but the difference between women and men is that a woman can gauge her return on investment by how much money the man spends on her, which is how much less money the woman has to spend on herself. Women don't, in Western culture, spend money on men like talking about. They're very objective to it. They're willing to go 50-50, meaning the most that she's willing to pay is for herself. But they're not willing to say, I will provide for my husband and take care of the kids. But we recognize that, the feminist movement back in the 60s was for the women to have the freedom to do more outside of the house and still be the wives and mothers at the house while their husbands are off to war. And this is very important dynamic for us to recognize and remember, because two things just came up after we recognized that the draft is going to be mandatory come January, or signing up for it at least is going to be mandatory come January. The other issue that we recognize is this year, they're now, if they weren't already, they're now enforcing it now, terminating passport authorization for men that owe more than $2,500 worth of child support, of unpaid child support. So if you have a child support bill from an old case, because less people are being hit with child support in court cases these days, but if you have unpaid child support, they will nullify your passport. Now, I don't know how that works with using it as an identification card here in the United States, but from what I understand, as far as traveling out of the country using your passport, they're not going to let you do that anymore, right? Because you owe money. It's just like suspending your driver's license and other such things to get that money out of you. They restrict the man's freedom to do stuff because of this financial obligation to a woman who doesn't want him to have his kids, more often than not. Now, the wild part about this is that if the men have this responsibility, the men should have the authority on top of that. Now, Michael said, I see you, Blue. Special shout out to Blue. Michael said, in the Philippines, most women become nurses and move to the United States as traveling nurses. You're right. But the women in Philippines also have 4 to 7 languages under their belt, and English is one of them. Most American women can barely speak one language. And yes, that's going to be another thing. When you're dating a Filipino woman, the women take care of the family. Therefore, when you marry a woman in the Philippines, you're marrying her and her family. So, like American women, you might marry her and you got to deal with her hair, her nails, and fake eyelashes and shit. But when you marry a Filipino woman, you got to deal with her mom, her aunt, her uncle, her grandpa, blah 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 blah. Right? So the cost of the woman is no different between an American woman versus a Western woman, outside of the fact that it's cheaper in the Philippines than it is in America. But there is a difference between the two women, because the American woman has a handout of entitlement from her man for him to express how much he cares about her by doing things for her that cost money, versus the Filipino woman that's doing everything she can to save him money. And then he's able to take that extra money that he's saving and send it back to her family to take care of her family. You're still, if you're sending $1,000 a month back to the Philippines to take care of her family, which is probably more than what she would have got paid to stay home and take care of her family, you're still spending less than what you would spend $2,500+ a month on an American woman. And the American woman's going to treat you worse, probably not even going to commit to you, but the Filipino woman would give you 15 to 20 years of her life for that $1,000 a month that you're sending back to the Philippines, right? The dynamic is the return on investment, the difference between the two behavior patterns. One woman will respect you and appreciate you and value you because you're taking care of her family in another country. The other woman will disrespect you, show absolutely no appreciation for you, and then trade you off for the next man that has $1,100, which means you got to keep up with the Joneses and add inflation to beat out the next guy, where she's always dressing up to parade herself in a position to always be attracting other people. Now in America, you got to beat up other dudes because your girl is dressing like she's single, and you got to fight off the other men. In the Philippines, you don't got to deal with all that stuff. You get a different level of dedication. Blue said, appreciate the advice the other night, Unc. Was amazing date. I'm glad to hear it. Michael AG2. Yeah, we got sage advice on this platform. We try to tell you guys stuff that we weren't told, that we learned from experience. Why is this men have made some of the dumbest mistakes in their lives? Some of the most successful people in the world have failed more often than the amateurs have ever attempted. So we have to recognize that all the way around, we're in a position where we cannot just ignore um, the words from those that came before us these days, because I know a lot of times like the women don't want to hear certain things when what a man's got to say, but let's be real. If a guy is telling you ways to make yourself more successful in whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, it makes more sense for you, male or female, to listen to those men, because those men know what they're talking about, especially when a man's talking about what he wants. And since a lot of men are predictable, it's always better to he said we're sending back postcards and pictures, no money. Well, Stephen, that's going to be a cultural thing. When it comes down to the Filipino women take care of their families. That's going to be the brothers, that's going to be the fathers, that's going to be the uncles. The Filipino women take care of the men in the family, right? The men protect and provide, and I got to figure out how do we explain the fact of the provision, since the women are out there in a matriarchal environment getting the money and bringing it back and then doing for the men. But I mean, the men are going to be the sword and shield for the women. So when the women are actually truly in danger, the man puts his life and his freedom on the line to protect his women and his children. Right now, since this is a cultural upbringing, a Filipino woman is raised from birth to note, go make money and bring it back to take care of family. Now, if you want this successful woman, it's almost like in Africa where you're offering a number of cows for the woman as a wife as a dowry. It's like, look, they don't officially have dowries, but if she is providing $700 or $800 a month worth of income to take care of this family, and you're removing this income source from the family to be your wife, you can't just say, well, fuck her family, I'm out, right? It's like, look, this is what she was bringing in for you guys. I'll provide this much. Take her off your hands. You guys figure it out from here. Now, that type of dynamic, the family isn't losing a financial source. You're gaining a wife. The return on investment is that she's going to work for you as a diligent wife to make sure that you have most of the things that you need within reason, as long as her family's getting what they're supposed to be getting, so that she doesn't have to be there. And you've got some women that'll manage her family in one country and still live with you in another country, and it'll work out. And the dynamic is because Filipino women save money. They spend more money on food, but, and this is like home cooked food and everything like that, but they save money in other places. Instead of hiring people to fix things and build stuff, they would try their best to fix things and build stuff to make sure that the cost for workers is reduced as much as possible. For most of us Americans, we believe, you know what, fuck it, I'll just pay somebody to come do it. But if she's got mechanic skills, she's going to be sitting outside fixing a car. Instead of me paying somebody else $5,000 to rebuild the car, she would rebuild the car. It doesn't matter how many weeks or months it takes for her to get this car back up and running. She'll fix it herself on her free time, where the most I have to do is go buy the parts. The money I save on a mechanic, because my wife is willing to fix a car, is the money that I can now spend on things like sending it back home to her family so that her family has what they need in her absence. So it's not so much, oh, I'm just going to send a postcard with a picture on the back of it with no money. If you're valuing what the woman is bringing to your relationship, you're willing to pay for her hair and her nails and her fake eyelashes and high heels and Prada purses and shoes and expensive dinners for an American woman to disrespect you in public. You should be willing to pay for a woman that's going to cook and clean for you, do your hair, pluck your toenails, build stuff in your house, grow a garden, rebuild the house from the ground up, rebuild the car, fix the washer and dryer, rebuild the microwave, and go to work and bring back your income and balance a budget with you and cook home cooked meals more often than going out to dinner. I think the trade-off is worth $1,000 a month because you're still spending less. You're still spending about $1,000 to $1,500 a month less on that Filipino person than what you would be on an American person, and you're getting a whole lot more out of it. That's just my thought process on that. But to each his own. Now, here on This and That, I typically start off by letting you guys know that we do not let the sun rise without going live, but we don't always start on time. So we ask you guys to like and subscribe, hit the notification button, mash those reaction buttons while you're watching the show. Also, take a look at the membership, because throughout this week, especially going into next weekend, you're going to start seeing a lot of things going into the membership now that I have a little bit more free time. Things are starting to level out. So we're going to start seeing more progress in the membership. So make sure that you guys dive into the membership and see what you can get out of the membership. Now, being live 7 nights a week, we got different topics every night of the week. Tonight will be questions and comments from the fans. So appropriately structured questions for appropriate topics or questions that I'm willing to answer. Beyond that, kind of not doing the inappropriate questions or the inappropriate topics. Then we have on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, business and politics, where this Monday, we're going to be talking about the third term president situation. But we typically on Mondays talk about how the politics negatively impacts your ability to make, save, and invest money. Then Tuesday is supposed to be the second segment of our cybersecurity discussion that Stephen had asked us about a couple weeks ago. But we still talk about ways to make money, save money, invest money, budget money, different ways to look at your money. Right now we're covering ways to protect your money, because building your wealth is very important for your personal peace of mind and your financial security. Now, after that, we talk about on Thursdays different countries around the world that you can live and potentially invest in, which allows for you to make money in multiple different countries. When we start thinking about traveling, I have to do a little bit more research. There is some Haktua kind of virus going on. Michael, you might know a lot about this virus. There's like a Haktua virus out there. I don't know what it's called. I'm calling it a Haktua virus, but there's some kind of virus going on somewhere, and I haven't gotten the details about it. But some individuals might have travel restrictions as a result of this virus. So that's going to be an issue, and we're going to be paying a lot of attention to it. And I'm going to squeeze it in somewhere and try to cover it to see what it is and how it impacts our ability to travel. But money-wise, you want your money to go places that you can't. And international investing with financial technology allows for you to be able to invest in countries that you've never seen before and make profits off of them without ever having to go there. Then we have on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, personal development, self-improvement, relationship topics, negotiation, socialization, building your brand. And then we start talking about for your professional side of things, promotions, raises, retirement packages, forced retirements, and then severance packages when you're getting fired off the job. And that's when we start giving you guys a lot of information about how to build your 20 and 30-year plan, why it's so important, and what that would look like, because reverse engineering that helps you with doing what you got to do today to get you where you want to be at tomorrow. Michael says, save money, buy U.S. postage stamps at 1/3 the value from me. If you've got a lot of postage stamps and you're trying to sell them, that'll work, but that really depends on the value of your postage stamp, because a forever stamp will always be used no matter how old it is. But a monetary value stamp, like a 5-cent stamp, a 25-cent stamp, a 10-cent stamp, if it's 55 cents for official priority mail, you're going to have to put a bunch of stamps on your envelope to equal 55 cents, or just put a forever stamp up there. Most people buy forever stamps, but if you got some old school stamps that you want to sell to folks, hey, I don't know. But it's more about figuring out where you want to be at in life and how you're going to get there, because you will find certain things are easier to access than others. Certain things require certifications, certain things require registration, certain things require certain types of backgrounds, and you have to see if you even qualify. When it starts talking about a background is a history, and you have to see if the history has already been created or if you can create that history, because you have two types of backgrounds that they look at: the background of success, which is something that you can start building at any time, and a background of failure, where if you've already made that mistake, you're disqualified from this position, right? So don't even try. So for example, um, if you've got a felony, you might not qualify for the FBI. You might not even qualify for police academy. You might want to be a cop at 18, 19, 20 years old. You might want to join the force at 22, 23 years old. But if you got a felony at 16 for something stupid with your friends, you do a background check on yourself before you start putting all this money on trying to do this particular activity, and you will come to find, hey, I don't qualify for this, right? Because you can do whatever it is that you want to do in life until the limitations from someone else that has more control over the outcome of your situation prevent you from doing that. And their limitations is your social status, your financial status, your criminal background, all of these things that changes the way you are seen by society, and then change the way you're being accepted by society. Like for example, individuals that get they're on the offender list for whatever. It doesn't matter if you were 18 with a 16-year-old, or if you thought she was 22 in the club and she turned out to be 17 and a half. It doesn't matter if it was consensual or non-consensual. What matters is that you're on that list. Once you get on that list, the decisions that you're allowed to make now are completely changed. Where you live is compromised. What kind of job you get is compromised. There's no going back on it. For the rest of your life, you're limited by being involved in that scenario. So before you get into that scenario, you have to make certain decisions to prevent yourself from going down the wrong path. This is one of the reasons why I talk to you guys about your decision-making skills, because in the moment, it might seem like a good thing to do. You only live once, but the consequences of your actions will last longer than the benefit or the thrill or the dopamine hit from performing the action itself. The longest time you might have in the thrill of the moment might be a few hours. The consequences of that action might be the rest of your life, 20, 30 years, 40, 50 years. It might be a 20-year prison stint. Like 15-minute thrill for Mystical ended up in prison 2 different times. He spent 10 years for one night where he only had like probably 20 or 30 minutes worth of actual gratification. And then he spent 10 years in prison after that, each time. So you got to ask yourself, is it really worth it, right? Michael said, bought over $1,000 of U.S. postage stamps for $50, all unused. Well, that's good. Cut the stamps off of old envelopes, remove the lines through them that show that they were used carefully, making them look new again. And then reuse them. At an estate sale. Oh, okay. I need to check out an estate sale. Yeah, estate sales, they have estate sales all over the place. They don't sell the same thing twice. It's whatever's up for sale from whoever died. And it's only going to be available that day. So whatever gets bought, and whatever doesn't get bought probably gets thrown away. So if you're planning on going to estate sales, you have to have a budget. How much you're willing to spend for certain stuff, or what's the most money you're going to spend at this estate sale. Go to the estate sale and then start selecting things. Another way that you can do it, because some estate sales have auctions and stuff like that online, you can check websites for estate sales and then see what objects are pending, because they can advance advertise the auction date to let you know like what's up for grabs, so that you can get your money together to get out there. You might find some estate sales that advertise up to 2 to 3 weeks before the actual auction date. Some, they just tell you when the estate sale is, and then whatever's for sale that day, it's for sale. But you got to figure out like what kind of money you want to bring over there to get it. They said, if I went, I would just buy stuff to flip. I don't need any more stuff. But that's what Michael does. That's exactly what Michael does. Michael goes to estate sales to find things of value that are worth more than what they're being sold, because everything is being short sold from a third party. And then you will find yourself being able to buy those things at a completely low price, and then since you have time, all the time in the world, you put it up for sale, and whenever somebody comes and buys it, you get to resell it, and you can resell it on a plenty of different things. OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace, eBay, all these other different places where you can post your stuff up, and whenever somebody calls you for it and says, "Hey, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z," boom, you sold it. If you only buy enough stuff where you can store it at your house, you don't have to pay for storage. He said go to estatesales.com. You can find that picking it up today and selling it next month, you start making profits next month. If you're going to estate sales every few days or every week, like Michael's doing, you're picking up stuff on a regular basis. You have a large inventory of stuff. If stuff starts selling next month, it doesn't matter what's sold. What matters is that stuff is selling. And if it's selling for more than what you bought it for, bought something for $1, sold it for $100, bought something for $50, sell it for $1,000. I mean, if he bought $1,000 worth of stamps for $50, he could sell $1,000 worth of stamps for $750 and unused stamps, and he would still be turning over a $700 profit while he's still undercutting the market on the stamps. See, so that's how you were able to get your value out of it. And estate sales have no limit to the stuff that they sell. Anything, cars, antiques, paper products, everything, and whatever you could think of that a person with stuff would have. Chairs, furniture, whatever it is, refrigerators, whatever it is up for sale. So you got to understand, it is what it is. So likewise, like I said, I would take a look at that, but you got to put your money aside and see, well, I'm going to budget for this, and then I'm going to use this as one of my investment platforms. I'm going to invest maybe $500 on each estate sale that I go to, and then sell that stuff before I buy some more stuff. Use the profits from the stuff that I sell to go and buy other things. You can do that. You can do that. That way, you've made back your $500 principal, and you're using the profits from your principal to continue to reinvest in the inventory. That's one way to do it. He said, whatever you live with. Yep, whatever you live with is for sale. So special shout out to Jenna and Jen Taylor. So he says, sometimes Sunday, I may take a sack full of quarters. Oh, a sack full of quarters. Okay. You take a sack full of quarters out there and just start buying stuff, huh? Well, it is what it is. Oh, a sock full of quarters. Sack. Yeah. Anything like a Corona bag full of change, whatever it is, and you go out there and you make it happen. So every time you break $1 at the grocery store, you put the change in your Corona bag, and then whenever your Corona bag's full, you go to an estate sale. Few knickknacks here and there, whatever sells. That's kind of one good way to budget yourself for it, because you're not trying to build a business off of this. You're trying to get you a little bit of side hustle. Oh, I know. Back in the day, the T9 used to be there. Now it's auto correct and auto prediction as well to finish your sentences for you. So they'll change the way you spell the word, and you got to delete it like 8 times sometimes and try to put it back in there. Yeah, it does a lot. When your browser history is accurate, it actually can fill in the words for you and spell the words correctly, but not all the time. Because sick and sock and sook all have similar letters, and the context clues don't always help them. So soccer quarters do 2 things, money and to beat the people with. Oh, so you bring a soccer quarter, just enough money to buy what you want and outbid everybody else. You just reminded me of them hustlers back in the day that would walk around with the Crown Royal bags. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The Crown Royal bags. Because what they used to do, they used to go out to the liquor store, get them a bottle of Crown Royal. They would drink their Crown Royal, smoke, keep the bag. Then they would put their stuff in their Crown Royal bag. Not always change. Sometimes the way they made their money was in that Crown Royal bag. So you will see them opening Crown Royal bag, pull some goodies out, make a little bit of money, put the money in the Crown Royal bag, zip that bad boy shut, stick it in their pocket. They have a Crown. Some of them had a Crown Royal bag tied to their belt loop, hanging off their pants. You know, back in the day when we used to do what we had to do to make money. You know, now I'm telling you guys legal ways to make money. But now today we got a few. We don't have a lot today, but we have a few questions and comments from the fans. So if y'all got questions on top of the questions we're gonna listen to, we'll go ahead and run through these, see what these people have to say. Most of them don't make sense, and I'm gonna help you guys make it make sense. Use these as tools to learn from, because you learn from other people's mistakes. And then, you know, feel free to chime in with your own personal opinions as well. Let's go ahead and get started with the first one here.
I don't love my girlfriend at all, but she's likely my only option. I didn't lose my virginity until 33, and I learned my girlfriend cheats. How to learn to live with it. I really despise this. I'm beginning to no longer see her as human. That's how much I hate it.
That was is it better to learn from your own mistakes? No, it's better for you to learn from the mistakes of others. And the reason why it's better for you to learn from the mistakes of others is because you do not have to experience the collateral damage from making a mistake. He's an incel? No. Okay, people misuse that word incel. He is in a relationship where his girlfriend's cheating on him, but he doesn't have enough value in himself to get out of the relationship. An incel would be an individual who couldn't get into a relationship, one who could not find a person to choose him, right? Not the same. So he might have a level of depression, he might have low self-esteem, but he clearly recognizes that he has a woman that doesn't value him as much as he thought he valued her. Now, men misguide their first sex was at what age? 33. Doesn't make him an incel though, because you got to understand, you got some people that go starting out. They got guys that go to boys only schools. Then if you got strict families, you have boys only schools and no social life. You're like 18 to 20, go to college. You're again built on the structure of certain types of financial success. Finish college, then you start looking for a relationship. You might be in your 30s when you get into your first relationship. It doesn't make you an incel. That makes you not paying attention to the opposite sex and hooking up for whatever's going on. So freeze frame. I mean, you got to think about there's so many things that happens in a person's life that could distract them from primal desire, right? Because like I said, if you're growing up in a strict family, they want you to be successful. They've got you doing all of these extracurricular activities. You're going to an all-boys school. You don't have time to pay attention to girls. You don't have time to find the value in interacting with girls. And if you don't have dirty friends around you showing you all kinds of pornography or anything like that, you don't have any desire to experience that. So you don't want what you've never had. And if you've never had it, you don't know what you're missing. Right? So if you're not focused on that because you're focused on other stuff, that is the least of your concerns. So if it happens at 33, then once it happens, now you're like, oh man, you know, I want this, I need this, whatever, right? But in that dynamic, some men find the desperation of the one woman that I got, I'm trying to keep her because I don't know if I'll find another because of my age. Well, you're 33. At 43, you're going to be more valuable as a man. 53, you're going to be more valuable as a man. So while you might have started late, and because you're 33, you're not going to be able to run through all the 20-year-olds the way you would have had you started off when you were like 18, 19, 20. But at 33, you can still get it in as often as you make time, because at 33, you should have a full-time job. But at 33, you should also be trying to get your life together, and you should be trying to find the right woman to settle down with, because you want that person to be there with you when your junk no longer works, right? That's the part that people don't pay attention to. You've got a girl that's cheating on you right now, She doesn't hold the value in you. You should replace her and get somebody else. Um, and you said cheats plural, right? Which means that she didn't cheat on you once. She cheated on you and she's still cheating on you. And every time you find out that she's cheating on you, you guys stay together. No. Part of her value is her virtue. And if she's not maintaining that, she's not maintaining this relationship. A man's virtue has no merit in a woman's expectations for a man's financial value. The only merit she has in the man's virtue is that he doesn't get another woman pregnant so that his financial value is not divided between two households. So how many bodies a man has is irrelevant, because for a woman, it's how much money a man makes, and don't split that money with other households. She's better off to replace him? I disagree. He's better off to replace her. And reason being, if she can sleep with whoever she wants and still get the financial security from the guy that she's with, she's got the best of both worlds. There's no reason for her to jeopardize her financial subsidies by leaving a stable paycheck to go find an unstable paycheck when she can smash all the dudes that she wants and stay with this guy. So for her, it doesn't benefit her to replace him, but it does benefit the man to replace the woman, because the man does not have the stable relationship that he's looking for. He doesn't have the security. He doesn't have the value of virtue from the woman. He doesn't have the respect from the woman. And what is she contributing to this relationship? Which means he benefits to leave. She doesn't benefit to leave. All the sex she had was before the guy married. No, the guy claims that he's with this girl and he is pissed off because she's continuously cheating on him. And he's trying to stay with her in spite of all the cheating. Fact is that if she's cheating on him multiple times, even if she cheated on him once, the fact is that her value in him is gone for her to cheat on him with somebody else, because women choose whether or not to have sex when it is consensual. The men don't have that choice. Okay? So the men put up the offer. The women accept the offer. And since the women accept the offer, in order for a woman to sleep with another man, the woman has to accept that other man. But she has to accept that other man on her standards, whatever her standards are. And her standards should be equivalent to her husband, which still means that if she's cheating, whether she's dating him or married to him, if she's cheating, she is still finding value in another man of equal to or more than the value that she has in her man, that she's willing to sleep with other men while she's still with this guy. Steven says, if a woman steps out one time, it's over. Thank you. Logic. Steven's bringing logic. Michael's bringing devil's advocate, but Steven's bringing logic. Are they married? I think he said that he was married to her. He's either married to her or dating, but it doesn't. But does marriage really matter in that dynamic? Does it really matter? Does marriage hold? Because marriage is a financial contract. So let's look at it. There's two ways that we look at marriage. From the religious perspective, marriage is supposed to be a union of the souls under the eyes of the Lord, which holds a higher moral and ethical connotation to stay together until you both die. Right? That's going to be from the religious side of things when we start talking about marriage. From the political side of marriage, marriage is going to be the financial union of two separate estates. We're going to combine our assets together, and then we're going to make it do what it do. Now, under both dynamics, no party is supposed to breach the sanctity of the marriage. However, from the dynamic of dating to marry, you are supposed to be exclusive to the one individual in a monogamous relationship, which means you're not supposed to step outside of the relationship. If you step outside of the relationship before marriage, if you're not living together, you have not combined your estate yet. If you moved in and you're living with one another before marriage, you have combined your estate. So if you're living together, you're sharing finances, you're sharing responsibilities, you have shared stuff. It's equivalent to marriage. The only difference between living together, dating for a number of years versus being married for the same number of years is the fact that you get tax deductions for 150%, which in my personal observation, I feel like you're being cheated out of a situation, because if she has a job and he has a job and you both file joint, you get 150%. If he is the only one with a job, she doesn't have a job, and he files joint, that 150% is a bonus. It's added bonus because she's a dependent. But she loses 50% filing for marriage, 50% of tax deductions. One of them loses 50% of tax deductions because instead of it being 200% for two people, it's 150% for filing joint, right? But those are the tax breaks that you get, 150% of whatever the benefit of a single person would be. But her value in the marriage is her value in the relationship. It doesn't change. There isn't a higher value in the marriage, because what she is doing and what she was willing to do before she got married is what she should be doing and what she should be willing to do after she gets married. Because putting the ring, like I tell you this all the time, guys. I use this Pokemon reference all the time. Marrying a woman is not like touching a Pikachu with a moonstone and turning him into a Raichu. Marrying a woman is going to be a symbolism situation. Her mentality is not going to change. If she's treating you like shit before you get married, she's going to treat you like shit after you got married. If the dude is treating you like shit before you get married, he's going to treat you like shit after you get married. People don't change just because you go through a ceremony. The same way people don't change just because they say I quit smoking. No. Some people can effectively change from the choice of changing, but an external change in their life doesn't cause an internal change in their behavior patterns. You can go from one job to the other, but if you're a shitty employee, eventually you're going to get fired from a new job. You can go from one school to the next, but if you get expelled for fighting, you're probably going to get expelled for fighting. You have to choose to change your decision-making skills so that you don't continue experiencing the same outcome. He said almost every 18 years, the government gives a huge tax break for having kids. Right. But notice what you just said. They're giving huge tax breaks for having kids, not having kids while married. So you can be single and have kids. And now with the tax breaks that they have out there for child support, the parent that's paying child support gets deductions from contributing to child care. Therefore, you don't have to be married to get that deduction. You just have to have a child that you're providing to. Marriage does not change that dynamic. The only thing that changes the dynamic is whether or not the child lives with you, how much money you put towards the kid. That's what it is. You know, that's a huge shift in everybody's expectations, right? But none of that has anything to do with her value in a relationship, which also means that if she's not bringing that value and she's taking whatever value she does bring and giving it to other people, the guy is the one that's not benefiting, not the girl, which means the guy should be able to leave the relationship and find a better valuable or more valuable woman that will better suit him in the relationship. He said, was it Trump or Biden that gave a tax break for kids? I'm not understanding your dynamic. What are you trying to prove here? Because first of all, we're not talking about the tax breaks. You're kind of sliding us down a rabbit hole of some sort. We're talking about the value of a woman in a relationship with a man when she is cheating on that man, and the difference between it being in a marriage or not in a marriage. So Donald Trump and Joe Biden have no value in that discussion. Unfortunately, Michael, I'm not the guy that likes to travel down rabbit holes. I'm the guy that makes it make sense, and it doesn't make sense. He said, go ahead and cheat. I mean, she can go ahead and stay single. She can go ahead and stay single. If she's going to sleep around with other people, she can just go ahead and stay single. There's no reason for her to be in a committed relationship or be in a marriage with a guy that she doesn't value. Right? That's just the key concepts there. And women should be paying attention to choice, because why restrict yourself in a relationship with a man that you're not happy with just because he's paying for the things that you want? Why not be in a relationship with somebody that makes you happy? And they make you happy not because they buy you stuff, but because you're genuinely happy with this person, even if the person is broke. Because happiness doesn't always come from money. Because all you got to do is be real and come to me and say, hey, I want other partners. And I will say, peace. Well, of course, because unless she's telling me that she wants to bring other females into the house and I can do stuff too, where they're going to share the same allowance. Otherwise, I'm going to be like, nah, not going to happen. She tell me about other dudes, and I'm like, sure, you can go talk to other dudes. But while you're gone, I'm changing the locks, because when you come back, there is no coming back. He said, I wouldn't put up with it. I agree with you, Michael. I shouldn't put up with it either. There's no reason why a man should devalue himself. That's when you start being a simp. That's when you start being an incel. When you allow yourself, when you allow yourself to ongoingly be rejected in your own life by someone else, simply because you don't have the courage or common sense to go find better. Right? You're allowing yourself to be rejected because you don't have the courage to go find better. Right? Let's go ahead and touch base on the next one.
I don't like my husband, and I'm being nice by using don't like. I hate him. I'm not sure if he's just not the man I married, or if I was so infatuated and just didn't see it. I am 43 and have been married to him for 14 years now, and he is 54. We are fundamentally very different humans. I feel like I didn't always feel that way, but I don't even like him as a human in general. He is quick to anger, racist, rude, mean. The more I see things online, etc., I think he might be emotionally abusive. He'd never physically hurt me, but he emotionally hurts me pretty much on a daily basis. He has mental health issues, depression, anger, etc., but refuses to consider therapy, as he's just as smart, if not smarter, than any therapist. He's also never been diagnosed because, again, won't go talk to someone. He blames how he is and how he thinks is so low of himself on his parents in childhood, but doesn't do anything to work on it. I love his parents, by the way. He blames anything that isn't right in his/our life on them or on me. He is rude and disrespectful in situations that don't call for it. Like, we were at a coffee shop and instead of self-serve milk, they poured the milk behind the counter. And instead of just like thinking, okay, not they place for me, I won't come here again, he says something about it to the person. And it's not usually what he says, although sometimes it is. It's the tone in how he says things. He can't let people have their own opinions or thoughts on things. Basically, if you don't agree or see his viewpoint on things, you are an idiot, and he's going to make sure he speaks to you in a way that you know you are stupid and worthless. He devalues that my job is hard too. Sure, it's just an office job, but it takes a lot of brain power. He has a physical trades job, and the commute is an hour or more each way. So yeah, I have to work full time and do everything, and I try my best. And if it's not done, I'm lazy, I'm fat and unmotivated. I don't appreciate that his job is so hard and that he pays for our whole lives, and I have no clue what it's like, etc. I'm not able to feel upset or sad or mad even if he's just yelled at me for literally no reason, because then he gets in a depression about being mean to me, and I just have to console and be like, it's okay. I understand you were a trustee at XYZ and not really me. I'm just always waiting for the next time he's going to be mad about the shoes I didn't get to putting away yet, or that a piece of broccoli went bad in the fridge because we didn't eat it in time, or the shirt he's wearing feels small because he's put on weight and I need to be better at making us exercise more and never have treats, etc. I feel like it wasn't like this at the beginning. I want to leave, but don't see how I possibly could. I'd never make it on my own. I'd miss his family. I'm too old to be starting over the way I'd have to. I don't know that I could live on my own. I don't have my own family here. I wish I never married him.
All right. Let's start off with special shout out to Isaac. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. Yes, Michael, she should just go ahead and divorce him because she wants out of the relationship. It's a relationship built on resentment. Um, Unfortunately, somewhere along the line, she stopped liking the things that he did and the way he did things. Well, the things that, yeah, the things that he did and the way that he did them. I understand how she feels about people with physical labor jobs that don't hold value in non-physical labor jobs. I've experienced that before, and I know that people tend to try to make it seem like their occupation is more prestigious when it's really not. Um, that's a psychological thing, uh, but there is a magnitude there that beyond that, like for example, she used the coffee shop thing. If he wanted to pour his own creamer and the coffee shop poured the creamer behind the counter, yeah, that's he should be able to vocalize his discontent in certain places. Now, a lot of times, everybody these days, a lot of these people are supposed to be so woke that they want to diagnose everything, and then they want to make it seem like anything that they don't like has some type of mental instability, because they just don't like it, not because it's mentally unstable, but because it just unfavors them. So when women do that, it really turns my brain off to understanding their plight because you're basically devaluing the person before you tell me what your problem is. Your problem is you don't feel seen, you don't feel respected, you don't feel appreciated. That's what your problem is. But you're going to say that he's crazy and he has emotional concerns that hasn't been addressed yet. So as a result, it's all his fault. It's not all his fault. Some of the things he's complaining about, like your inability to address the needs of the family, is issues that he has a concern with that you're not doing. You're probably going to throw that on the excuse that you go to work. He's going to throw up the fact that he goes to work and his job is harder than your job. Now you're saying he's devaluing your occupation because you're not doing things like making sure your husband has clothes that fit, which is a responsibility or role of a devoted wife, making sure that your husband has clothes that fit, especially if he's giving you the money, right? So it really depends on what you're not doing. It's a one-sided story where she's ultimately playing the victim. Michael said, "Nice mug. Get your logo put on. Get your logo put on it." This particular one came out before the podcast, and I've never gotten rid of it. So if I got another one, I would get one with the logo on it. But I have a coffee cup with the company logo on it. So yeah. But you said that she feels trapped with no money. Well, she's not trapped. She's used to a lifestyle that she otherwise would not be able to pay for on her own. She doesn't want to leave the guy because she doesn't want to leave the financial lifestyle that he's providing to her, but she does not want to submit to the expectations that he has in the lifestyle that he's providing to her. So she's dealing with a level of rebellion, and that level of rebellion is coming from the feelings of not being seen, not being heard, and not being valued and appreciated the way she wants to be valued and appreciated. The way that she can work on that is, instead of, because like the man said, that a lot of the things that he feels and does stem from his childhood. Um, yeah, Michael said, I know you're gonna pick this one apart. Yeah, yeah, I am. But a lot of the things that the guy said, that it is something to do with his family and his childhood. Yes, that is true. He knows what's wrong with him. Is he going to do something about it? That's up to him, But he knows that a lot of his poor decisions stem from a behavior pattern from his childhood. A therapist would tell him that, but he'd pay that therapist $250 to hear that. He knows. Now, how does he get through that? How does he get past that? What does he do different? Not all the time does a therapist do anything other than make you face your own reality and accept it for what it is. Then, if you have a proactive therapist, they might give you ways to go about doing things differently. Like, instead of talking to people a certain way, talk to them a different way, you'll get a better result. That's something that the wife isn't learning, because she needs to learn how to communicate with her husband. Find out the things that he wants, ask instead of expect, and then change a little bit. But you got to understand, they've been married for 13 years. She's 44. That means that she found him at 31. She was already set in her ways, and she stayed with him for 13 years, refusing to change. Now that she's 43, her biggest fear is that no other man is going to want her at 45, 46 and divorced. No, not with the attitude she's got now. He's carrying a lot of baggage from childhood. He is, but she's carrying a lot of baggage too. I'll tell him for free. Exactly. Stop listening to Wilbur. Special shout out to some guy. Some guy asked a stupid question. How do I stop being dumb? Well, you can't, buddy. At a young age, you do dumb things because you're motivated by your friends to do dumb things. You live in a moment, so you're gonna do dumb things. The first step in not doing dumb things is recognizing that the things that you do are dumb. The second way to stop doing dumb things is look at the long-term consequences of your short-term actions. Take, for example, jumping a fence and swimming in somebody else's pool, the locked fence, swimming in somebody else's pool, criminal trespass. If somebody with you is in that pool and they accidentally break something, now you have criminal vandalism. Criminal trespass and criminal vandalism, while can be perceived in some situations as misdemeanors, there's a strong possibility that enough times getting that charge, you can end up with like third or fourth degree felonies. Right now, imagine if you have from your childhood a lot of forced entry criminal charges on your background. You start trying to get a job, a legitimate job, at 21, 22 years old. You find yourself in a position where they don't want to hire you because you're likely to break in and steal something from them because of what's in your background. Another thing is that even though trespassing is misdemeanors, if you go to move, if you've gotten a felony within the last 3 to 5 years, and if you got a misdemeanor within the last 1 to 3 years, they won't accept your application. So if you want to go party with your friends, hop a fence, trespass in somebody's neighborhood, in their backyard, you're throwing beer bottles all over the place, leaving cans all over the place, you got criminal mischief, criminal vandalism, littering, and public disturbance, disturbing the peace, public nuisance, right? Public intoxication, right? And then you're underage drinking, right? Now, 7, 8, 9, 10 charges, right? Now, you try to go and get you a new apartment, they run a background check. This just happened a year ago. Nobody wants to rent to you. Now you got to stay on your parents' accounts for 2 or 3 more years until you find somebody that'll rent to you. If somebody rents to you, now you're in a low-grade neighborhood where they don't care what kind of background you have, you're surrounded by criminals. You don't like the neighborhood that you live in, but it is what it is. He said, that's right. You made the first correct move in your life by coming to this podcast. That was the first smart thing to do, some guy 722, by coming here, because you got plenty of wise men that'll tell you how not to be stupid. But this is one of the things that we teach you guys. The best way to stop doing things is look at your long-term consequences. Take, for example, you got friends that like to smoke weed and throw their weed on the ground. Who cares if they're smoking the weed? A lot of places have no weed laws anymore. But the fact that he threw the weed on the ground is littering, right? You've got other friends that like to drink in public, right? Who cares if they drink? But when they open the drink in your car, there's an open container. You can start getting felonies and high fines, guilty by association with these people. Your history is something that can never be changed. If you're hanging with somebody that throws stuff out of your car, you can get a littering ticket, right? You need to make sure that when you do things in your life and when you do things with others in your life, that what you're doing today will not negatively impact you in the future. Now, this goes even further with house parties in modern 2026. You go to a house party, you think, oh, in the moment, there's no problem here. But if you're in the background of a photo with somebody doing lines of cocaine off of a minor's chest, you didn't know that that girl was a minor. You're not even involved in that scenario, but you were at a party with minors doing illicit drugs. That photo, or in some situations, a shorts reel, will end up on social media, and you will now, facial recognition, be seen in that type of environment with the observation that you were having a good time in that photo, which means that you involve yourself in that type of environment. Now, You didn't have to get arrested that night. Nobody had to file a complaint that night. The minor could have went home, and that would have been the best Girls Gone Wild night that she had for spring break. But now you're trying to get a CEO job, or you're trying to get a politician job. And now this video that's on somebody else's social media platform comes up out of nowhere, where you're involved with underage sex, drugs, and alcohol. You have to be careful with what you do and where you do it at, because what is in the past, you cannot change. And what you want to do in the future will be limited and restricted by what already happened in the past. So that's how you stop being stupid. Start planning for your future and make sure that the decisions today don't impact your future tomorrow. So you want to go to a house party? You want to go to a house party with a bunch of 40-year-old men. You want to go to a house party that's got some females in there? You want to make sure that all of them look old enough to be your fucking grandma. Otherwise, don't go. You want to go to a sorority party? You're asking for trouble. You're asking for trouble. Michael says 549,000 people died from smoking pot last year. Sorry, that was cigarettes. Doesn't matter. It could have been cigarettes, could have been pot. Either way. 40,000 people, 40,000 people died from tripping and falling, right? More people died from tripping and falling than self-inflicted gunshot wounds. He said, if you were in a photo like that at a party, you might be too drunk to know it is happening. And now that it is tied to your reputation for life, that is the biggest issue. Because let's say that you were standing there. Let's say some chick got up on the bar. Let's say they start doing what they're doing. You're over here hammered, 5 drinks in. Woo, party like a rock star there, Coyote Ugly over there, right? Woo, right? Then all of a sudden somebody tags you in a social media post where that chick was 17. But you're in the background because the photo came from across the bar, where the bartender took the shot of what was going on for publishing on their website to show that their bar has big parties. You're seen in the background supporting that person that turns out to not be grown. Your reputation is doomed for life. Individuals who like to, in their younger days, they like to pose with the smoke, they like to pose with the guns, they like to pose with the alcohol, they like to be seen somewhere. Their whole social media post is full of drugs and alcohol. Look, when you start going to professional world, all of your employers are nowadays asking you for your social media handles. When you get arrested and go to jail, the judge and the police officer are asking for your social media handles. And if you give them out, or if they do a deep dive and find it, you are explicitly ousted by the selfies you take, the solo videos you take, the group videos that you take, photobombing somebody else's shit, standing in the background of somebody else's shit. You've seen a lot of those detective videos where some bitch in the background didn't even know that the photo was being taken. The person that was being taken a photo of was not affiliated with the person in the background. Person got caught up in a background photo. Now the police know who that person is. The problem is, you got to be careful what you do and where you do it at, because otherwise your past will destroy your future and your present self will not know. And that's one of the reasons why I tell you guys to rethink your decisions in the forefront. Is that 186,000 people died from smoking pot last year. Sorry, that was cancer. You do realize that setting weed on fire and then using the tobacco products, all of the chemicals that are in the rolling papers of the tobacco products is in the same rolling papers that you're using to roll up the weed. So while people say that the weed plant itself doesn't kill people, which is true, when you set fire to the weed plant using tobacco products, it's going to have the same effects, right? But you're also going to increase short-term memory loss and increased appetites, modifications of your metabolism. People, when you stop smoking, you either gain a bunch of weight or lose a bunch of weight. Crazy. No one has ever died from smoking pot. No one has ever died from eating pot, right? But yes, setting it on fire is what causes the cancer, not just the chemicals in the tobacco products. The damage of the lungs. He said, Steve, now you become a politician. I don't think that would work out for me. Anything that you smoke is not good for you. Exactly. Exactly. Um, I tell people all the time, you can get the same effects from the marijuana by sprinkling it in your food, putting it into your drink. If you grind it up real fine and turn it into like an herbal tea and just pour some hot water on it and distill it like a tea bag, you can get the cannabis flavored tea, get the same contact high that you would get from setting it on fire. The only difference is that you don't have the carbonation in your lungs, the CO2 that you're inhaling that's developing the lung cancer. You don't have that extreme heat going down your esophagus where the hot smoke is burning your esophagus, damaging your trachea, destroying your voice box, which leads you to having a hole in your throat where they got to put the little microphone to your throat with the hole in your neck to make your voice work. That type of stuff can't be compromised. But if you grind it up, if you liquefy it or whatever the case may be, and then you put it into a drink, you get the liquid CBD oils and pour it into your drink. You can get the same effects and not have the consequences of the smoke. The fire burning it is going to be the biggest health risk that you're going to have with it outside of excessive consumption, right? So I'm not going to tell you don't do it. I'm just telling you find a better way to get it done, you know. But if you're going to do it, might as well turn it into a big ass fucking hookah, get you a gigantic distillation chamber, and then use it as a massive incense in the house where you bomb the whole house out. If you're going to do it like an idiot. All right, let's touch base with the next one.
My friend confessed again. I'm exhausted. I'm 19 and I have been friends with this guy, Mike, who's 29, for a few years now. He's known me since I was 16, and this year marks the third time he has confessed his feelings for me. Our relationship has always been complicated. He has violated my trust before and our values do not match. The truth is I care about him, but I have never really seen him as someone I could build a future with. I've asked myself, do I love him? And can he give me what I need? And the honest answer is no. I've known that for a long time. He knows it too. Anyways, we hadn't talked much for months because life pulled us in different directions. I got a job, he was dealing with his own issues, and the distance honestly made things feel calmer. Recently though, I went through a breakup and I was devastated. I cried for days. When I finally talked to him about it, he was surprisingly supportive. It felt like maybe our friendship was stabilizing again. Then the next night at 1 a.m. he just hits me with a text that says, "What are the odds that I ever have your interest in me? I just want to know if I should try or not. If it's closer to 0, I won't try at all and I'll move on." Then he added, "I can't hear you right now, so type it up." I was stunned and blindsided, honestly. He knew about my breakup. He knew I was emotionally wrecked. He knew my values haven't changed. Why ask me now? Why ask me again? So I told him I wasn't in the right state to answer anything. I reminded him that we already tried to logically see if we could work, and that he didn't respect my values back then. I said I cared about him, but I was in too much pain to even understand my own feelings at the moment. Instead of respecting that, he said, if it's just a label of being a religious name, I couldn't care much. I'd take that in a heartbeat. Later he added, it's not force if I choose it. If it's just a label, I can take it. Doesn't matter to me. That hurt. He made my faith, something deeply important to me, sound like a costume he could put on just to get the benefit of being with me. He made it sound small. I told him he can't just call himself something he isn't. You can't say you're a rock and magically become one. Being a religious name is more than a label. It is a lifestyle, a belief system, a commitment. But he kept pushing. Just give me a definitive answer. If not, I'll clear everything and try to move on. At that point, I was exhausted, hurt, and honestly annoyed. After way too long, he finally dropped it, but now he's acting like nothing happened and trying to be friendly again. Now I'm stuck. Part of me doesn't want to throw away years of friendship, but another part of me is fed up and feels like I don't want to be his friend anymore. I feel disrespected, pressured, and emotionally drained. I haven't texted his any replies in the last couple days either. I feel like he only listens when it benefits him. He has said he won't bring it up ever again, but honestly I don't care. The damage is already done. So do I walk away? Or how can I try to salvage this? He first confessed when I was 16. Yes, I know it looks bad, but he at the time did say to me that he didn't want a relationship because of my age, he just wanted me to know how he felt. Later he confessed when I was at 18 and this year at 19. Our contact during those years was limited and rocky, so I didn't really connect the dots until now. Seeing it all written out made me realize the pattern wasn't healthy. When I was 18, he took a photo of me while I was asleep without my consent. It was an extremely private moment, and the nature of the picture was a traumatizing volatile. He told me the next day while in tears what he did and that he instantly deleted it. I don't know if he ever deleted it, even though he said he did. At the time, I minimized it because I just couldn't believe I guess someone could do that. I didn't want to believe he would cross that boundary, but he did, and it was a serious breach of trust and safety. I reacted too slowly to things and often let people too close to me when they don't have the best intentions. This incident, combined with the repeated confessions and pressure over the years, is part of why I ultimately chose to end the friendship only moments ago. I should have done it years ago. I sent him a message explaining that the dynamic wasn't balanced, that my boundaries and values weren't respected, and that I couldn't keep being in a situation where I was expected to manage his feelings or give him hope for something that was never going to happen.
All right. Let's start off at the top here because Steven said haven't smoked in years, but if I were going to start smoking again, I wouldn't burn a blunt. Yep, I agree with you on that. Michael said move on. That's probably the best thing. I believe that she just did not have the courage to tell him no, but she was never interested. What women have to understand is that men do not become friends with women just to be friends with women. Men use the friendship position as a dynamic to be still involved in the game without actually having the ability to be on the field. So, from what I understand, he's 29, she's 19. So, when she was 16, he would have been 26. Um, him being in the friend zone because she's too young would be clear that he's waiting until she's grown before he does anything explicit. Emotional bonds can be formed at any age, but the legal appropriate age for physical contact has to be above the age of 18. Um, so the issue that we have, Michael said, good call on the man's part for the communication, and I do agree with that. Being able to now make he made a play at 18 when she was grown, so we're just going to be friends at 16, and then make the play at 18, and she ended up in a relationship with somebody else, and then after she broke up with that guy because clearly, she doesn't make the right decisions on men, she goes back to the first guy who still wants that relationship from her. Now at 19, he's like, hey, are we going to do this or what? I think that she's not paying attention to him, and she's not really understanding the reason why they even have a friendship to begin with was because he wanted something from her that she wasn't aware that she was actually being a proposition for. And I think that her lack of attention to detail, and a lot of women are in that position where, because it doesn't matter if she has a platonic friendship with the guy, because she has the emotional fulfillment that she gets from each guy that she has a friendship with. And that's what women look for out of a relationship outside of money, is the emotional fulfillment. Men need that physical connection. So for the guy to put the physical connection on the back burner until she's of legal age, now he's like, hey, can we switch this over to the physical connection part and progress the relationship? She's kind of like dumbfounded. She should have said no from the gate. Steven says, because in relation to her discussion about the religious part, she has observations of her religion. He has observations of religion that are different from hers. And the conversion idea is one of two things. First and foremost, I'm not going to treat you different because your religious beliefs and my religious beliefs are not the same. The second observation of this is that if I have to start practicing your religion with you to be supportive of your religion, then I am not objective to that. In that dynamic, it's not just a label, but technically it is, because Your ability to self-identify as a Christian requires you to do Christian practices. Your self-identification as a Catholic is doing the similar things as Christian, just being a lot more judgmental. You know, you start talking about Buddhists and all of this other stuff. There's certain things that you do as practice. Some go to church, monastery, stuff like that. Some people pray facing the east at certain times of day. Some people don't work on certain days. Some people don't eat before sunset. You know, all of these things that happen as part of the practice of the religion. Once you learn a new religion, you start practicing that religion. Like if you went to the Philippines and decided to become Muslim, you practice the Muslim religion, get you 5 wives. You can bring all 5 wives back to America because you're Muslim with 5 wives. It's doable. You just have to prove that you have the Muslim religion from the proof of the Muslim practice. And then you bring that Muslim behavior back to America with all your wives. It's doable. So yeah, technically it is kind of a title. She's insulted by that because she doesn't understand the dynamics of society. But like Stephen said, the religious thing, since that's a big deal to her, should be the first thing that she uses as an expectation. You should have that expectation of the partner that you're planning on getting involved with to have similar religious goals and beliefs. So instead of women chasing a man for their zodiac sign, you know, if you're multi-relation or multi-religious, whatever, or if you're something specific, whatever that is, whatever your religious background is, if that's a deal breaker for you, that should be one of the first 20 things that you talk about. Like, this is my religious dynamic, and if your dynamic doesn't mesh with mine, we can't go any further. Same thing with political beliefs. If one of you is a diehard Republican, so diehard of a Republican that you would devalue a Democrat just to make yourself feel better for being a Republican, even though you have the income of a Democrat, if that's your position, you as a person need to then look at the other person and say, hey, do you regularly self-identify as Democrat? And if that is true, then we can't talk anymore. Yeah, we might be able to hang out and watch the game, but I mean, this relationship isn't going to go anywhere because we have different beliefs. Michael said, don't bring it up again. Yeah, once the girl finally gives you the no that you've been asking about since 18, which is like a year and some change, at this point, if she's not going to progress a relationship, it's time to move on. Yeah, exactly. Okay, thanks. Have a good life. He said that picture was a no-go afterwards as well. So one of the things that women typically do is they shun and shame men for everything that men do when a woman doesn't like the man anymore. However, when it comes down to photos, candid photos, which are photos that are taken without your knowledge or consent, are considered romantic when she likes the photo's outcome, right? But if she doesn't like the photo's outcome, so say that you take a photo of her sleeping, or say you take a photo with her not paying attention to you taking a photo, and then you take that photo and you put it into some type of portrait or turn it into some type of shrine and idolize her in a moment where she didn't know that her photo was being taken. If she loves the outcome of the photo, it's a romantic gesture. Now, if she hates your guts, oh, you're a pimp. The dynamic is still the same. Women want to be in so much control over a man's actions that they have to get advance consent for every single action and every single moment that a man does something. Now, I don't have a problem with this, but it is a contradiction to a woman's responses and expectations to the spontaneity of a man. I can't be spontaneous and get your consent for spontaneity at the same time. I can't surprise you, but tell you, oh, I'm going to surprise you. Are you okay with that? I'm going to surprise you with a cake. I'm going to surprise you at this expensive restaurant. I'm going to surprise you with this X1. It's not a surprise. It's an expectation. So, you know, if she didn't like, and this is one of the things that I didn't like the way she described it. She claims that he violated a quote unquote boundary. You have to understand, your non-negotiable expectations for behavior should be laid out in the beginning. So I don't like people taking photos of me, period. That's something that's said in the beginning of our engagements with one another. The first time you take a photo of me without asking me if it's okay, that's when I'm going to tell you, hey, I don't really like taking photos. I don't like people taking photos. If you want a photo of me, just come ask me about it. And if I'm in the mood, I'll take it. Now, that sets the boundary. Before that, the person would have never known. Now, after you set that boundary, if dude comes up and takes a photo of you, that is violating your boundaries. If dude didn't know in the first place, that's not violating your boundaries. That is taking a calculated risk, which I probably would not have done. But in my 40s, I'm thinking, this dude's 29. In my 40s, I'm thinking, yeah, she might be cute. I don't see myself taking pictures of her until after she's my wife. Right? She can take all the fucking pictures she wants, but I don't really take many pictures at all as it stands right now. I don't see myself doing that. But remember to like and subscribe, guys, and match those reaction buttons along the way. But also the other part about that is she just didn't like his religious views, and then she did not like his ability to like capture the moment. So one of the things that women don't understand is that women have this standard bitch face. Okay. And you don't really like hearing about it, but it's true. Like, you really have this standard bitch face. We accept it. Some women master it and give it a strong, attractive, masculine, feminine, diversity look kind of thing. But the fact is, you got this resting standard bitch face. And the problem is that when you go to sleep, all of your muscles relax, right? And when all of your muscles relax, you actually have a higher level of attraction, because this is the one time you don't look pissed off. Your eyebrows aren't all crunched up, your face all scrunched up and everything like that. This is the one time, because your muscles are relaxed. That candid shot, that Kodak moment, some men actually capture that photo. Because we don't get to see this side of you. This side of you with no makeup on, not putting on a front, a genuine look. That look is a golden look that only can be captured while you're actually sleeping. Now, some women are going to be like, oh yeah, he's a dirty guy for thinking he's creep, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and these are the same women that have no problem with having Jack Sparrow paint nude portraits of them for art class and hanging up on the wall. Y'all remember last week's photos, right? Or last week's show, right? So the fact is, you're okay with it when you like the guy, but you're not okay with it when you don't like the guy, but you have no problem with the action itself. So that's kind of the issue that I have with that. So yeah, I agree all the way around. The girl should probably not go out with the guy, plain and simple. He said, I don't work on any days that end with Y. That's a good religion to have, bro. I think that is creepy. Well, I mean, everybody's got their own opinion, but think about this, Steven. If you're in a relationship with a chick and she takes photos of you without you knowing, back in the day, your grandparents would have a photo album of all of the most embarrassing pictures of you from the time you were 1 in diapers until the time you were 17. Photos of you in the bath, photos of you with your first diaper change, first walk, first run. Whether or not you were properly clothed or not didn't matter. They just took a photo because that moment was memorable. It embarrasses you when they show these photos of you to your girlfriend or whatever like that, your prom date or whatever the case may be. But it is a standard cultural behavior, right? It's not creepy. However, throw a chick that you're dating involved, and what your grandparents used to do to you now all of a sudden becomes creepy. You were a toddler when it was happening. So you were under the age of 18. So, like, the action itself is not wrong. It's just a dynamic that women are going to shame men for doing things, to the fact that men don't feel comfortable with doing things, to the fact that men never do anything, and then women are upset about the fact that men don't do anything. Well, we're afraid to act. We're afraid to take action anywhere. Men cannot, a public park is no longer a public park for the public. A public park is only for women and children. Why? Because if a single man goes and sits into a public park by himself, reading a newspaper, where there's like 3 to 5 women there and 8 children, the women are going to straight up call the guy a creep for sitting in the public park. It's supposed to be for the entire public. But it's not for the public park. Women ostracize men in a lot of places. Men can't go. Not because they're actually doing something inappropriate, but because society allows women to dictate that men are not allowed. But there's nowhere in society that women are not allowed. Not even the bathrooms. We would prefer the women not to be in there, but the women can go wherever they want, do whatever they want. However, men are limited to what they're allowed to do. The action itself isn't wrong in the sense of capturing the moment. Now, had she been wasted and he took all of her clothes off and he was taking photos of her in that fit, that would be creepy. It is the context of what's going on. You got to understand that. Now, still, if she didn't feel comfortable with the situation, that would be a reason to not linger your friendship. And that's why I tell women on a regular basis, you got to understand that if a guy is willing to be friends with you, a guy is willing to date you. If you're not willing to date the guy, you shouldn't be friends with the guy. That it is what it is. Some cultures, like in the Philippines, Asia, a lot of countries in Asia, they start off hanging out with you as friends with the friends to dating mindset, dating to marriage mindset. So as long as you are presenting yourself in a fashion where they will commit to you, they will commit to you. They will go from, oh yeah, we were friends for like 6 to 9 months, then we started dating, and 25 years later, we're married with a handful of kids. In America, it is first contact, first date. By the 3rd date, we're sleeping together. By the 12th time we're sleeping together, we're living together. Within 9 months of living together, if we got a kid, we're getting married. And now we've known each other for all of 5 years and have been married for about 4 of those 5 years. With a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old under our belts. That's how fast we're moving in Western culture. So the normal dynamics that we used to do in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, us 80s babies, we're the last generation, sometime maybe some of the 90s babies are the last generation of kids that had photos taken without our knowledge, and sometimes not. Never did we consent about it. That mom or dad would just come out of nowhere with a fucking Polaroid and that's what it was, right? And we, that's it. That's all we would do. That's all we would do. But we would not resent our parents for taking photos of us. And then at high school, when we go to prom, or the first date between 16 and 19, and oh, I think she's a good keeper. Let me show you some baby pictures. That's what parents always do. And they will go and get the most embarrassing ones from before you were old enough to walk. And they've got the first meal, and you see what I'm saying? And no, mom, don't show her those. The girl doesn't get up, oh, you're gross, and walk away. Oh, this is cute. She gets to see a side of you that nobody else gets to see. That collage of candid photos is a side of you that nobody ever gets to see. They're okay with it when it's that dynamic. So to me, I'm just thinking, I think that she's being a little bit too much, but I also believe that because her views are not the same as his, and she wasn't interested in him in the beginning, that she allowed him to linger for the emotional support. But that wasn't a guy that she was interested in. And I think that she should have just put her foot down in the beginning, 16, 17, 18 years old, like, look, grandpa. Because when she was 16, he was 26. He was 10 years older than her the whole time. So when she was 16, he was 26. He was pre-ordering. She should have been like, nope, we can't even be friends. And then when she turned 18, she should have turned a no into a hell no, because, you were talking to me before I was old enough. Now, no is extra no. But I mean, she's decided to let that linger. Now that she's putting her foot down, I think, that's probably a good foot. But for the dude, he should have just left a long time. I think he was just there far too long. All right, let's go ahead and touch base with the next one. We got, I think, a couple more left here.
I ended a marriage 5 years after the fact, after figuring out the girl had a husband when we hooked up. Back in college, I hooked up with a blonde girl from one of my classes. Things moved fast, and we ended up seeing each other a lot. I always felt like something was off, but ignored it. 5 years later, Instagram suggested her profile to me. I noticed she had 4 kids and started scrolling through old posts. That's when I realized she had been married the entire time we were together. I instantly felt disgusted knowing I unknowingly helped someone cheat. So I messaged her husband and sent him proof of everything. The whole situation exploded, and one of the kids turned out not to be his. Now I feel torn between guilt for exposing it and feeling like he deserved the truth.
Damn. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of people do this. When you find that the person that you're sleeping with is cheating on somebody else, that they're in a more committed relationship than what they are with you, that the revenge side of you wants to ruin their marriage the way that they ruined your life, and then the vindication side of you is going to want to go and tell the other person to liberate them from the deceit. I'm going to be honest with you. What you did with her is none of his business between you and him. Would you want to know if your wife was cheating on another dude? Would you want a guy to call you up and be like, "Hey, I've been smashing your wife for 4 years, for the last 4 years. Let's grab some coffee and talk about this over the Bucks game," right? Like WrestleMania is kind of like let's sit front row and watch John Cena with Backlash with the new WWE title that's coming out, and let's just talk about how your wife has been smashing me for the last year. Let me tell you all the things that we do, kind of thing. Like really? Like, I don't think that's usually that's what women do. That's a very feminine move. Usually that's what women do. Come and she's pregnant. She comes and drops the baby on your doorstep. It's your responsibility now, lady, and walk off. So the woman knows that there's a problem because this child just came out of nowhere. And you know that this child came from an affair. And now she's having this entire mental breakdown because she thought her husband was being loyal and he's not. It's not the other guy's business. Steven said, I would have broke it off and left it alone. Exactly. That's what I would have did. You know, if the husband would have asked, I would have kept it real. Yeah, I would. I'm not gonna lie to the guy and be like, no, I ain't been smashing a girl. Like, nah, bro, not yet. Every Thursday she slide by my day off and I give her what she asked for. But like, I didn't know that she had somebody. I'm not gonna seek him out and let him know that we're involved or that we were involved. But as soon as I find out that she got a whole fucking family, like, that's it. I'm blocking her, leaving. That's it. Hoping nobody else finds out about it. He said, on the other hand, I would like someone to tell me if they found out, so that is a tricky situation. The tricky part about it is that the lack of confidence in your ability to select the right person. So here's the thing. If you're doing everything you're supposed to do for your woman and you believe that you picked the right one, you are supposed to be able to trust her to not do anything that you wouldn't do. The dynamic here is that if you're going out on a limb, you're trying to convince a girl to stay with you. That's your first mistake. Trying to convince her to stay with you because you're not what she wants. She just wants what you're offering her, right? Which isn't you, it's just what you can do for her. Now, because you're putting yourself in this scenario, when what she wants passes by, she's likely to cheat on you with what she wants because you're not what she wants. You might be what she needs, but you're not what she wants. And women only want what they want. They can give two shits about their needs. That's why nice guys finish last, because what women need is the nice guy with the stability. What women want is the volatile, toxic guy with the adventure and the excitement. So they choose what they want. That's their type, toxicity first, until they get tired of it. And then when they get tired of that, then they go after what they need. So if you're finding a woman that sticks with you for who you are and what you're able to provide for her, not just able to provide for her, but who you are, for richer and for poorer, then you don't really have to worry about her going somewhere else. But here's one of the dynamics. This is the other side of the tricky part, Stephen. Most men believe that they would want to know if their girl is cheating on them with somebody else. But most men choose to kill the messenger. So if one of your homeboys came and was trying to tell you that your girl was trying to sleep with them, you know that your homeboy's a man whore, you would say, oh, you're just trying to toot your own horn, blah, 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 blah. You would not believe it. You'd be in denial. If a stranger came up and they wanted to hit on your girl and they're coming telling you, oh, she gave me her number, blah, 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 you're going to want the guy to prove to you that she is in fact cheating. You're going to have a whole episode of cheaters. They're going to have to show you video. They're going to have to show you phone photos. They're going to have to show you DM communication and all of this other factual evidence to prove to you that what this guy's saying is true. No guy on their face is going to be able to tell you that your girl was seen at a Starbucks getting dirty with a dude behind the counter, and you're just going to believe that. Most men don't do that. We have a high level of denial. So do we want to know? No, we don't want to know. That's why, who was that? I can't remember the name of the artist. He made that song, I Don't Want to Know. If you're playing me, keep it on a low. We don't want to know. We just hope that if it is happening, that we kind of get a tip off so that we're not looking like a fool for too long. So yeah, nobody wants to be second choice. But guess what? Everybody is second choice. Because her first choice was a guy she was dating when she was 16. Everybody after that is a substitution. You're not going to be the first choice. But I do agree with you that I don't want to be the backup plan to the primary plan 30 choices down the line. I don't want you to settle for me because you can't get what you want. I agree with that. I don't want to be the last best hope. No, I want you to be down for whatever with me because you believe that I can accomplish what I said I was going to accomplish. But I do agree with you. I don't want her to be torn. I don't want this to be a Romeo and Juliet situation, a Hamlet situation where you've got the guy that you want and I'm the guy in the bushes. You kind of want me because of the way I'm saying what I'm saying, but you kind of want him because you think he's got more money than I do, or he looks handsome. So he's taller than I am because I'm 5'6", he's 6'1". You know, whatever. Whatever the dynamic is, at the end of the day, if you are confused about which one of us you should get him. I'm going to help you out with that. If we were in a balloon popping scenario and they said you have to pop somebody's balloon, pop. I didn't pop mine already because if you didn't choose me when you walked out, that's all right. That's all right. Would I linger in the scenario? No. Steven said, I 100% would like to know if it happens. Oh, no, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. Okay, so here's the thing. Curiosity, Schrodinger's cat, curiosity dictates that, yes, you would want to know if she is in fact cheating on you, because if somebody plants a seed that your girlfriend is a whore, you're going to want to find out about that. Yes, but psychologically and emotionally, no, you don't want to know. So if somebody tells you that the girl you're talking to right now in college has another dude, you're not going to believe it. First thing going to come out of your mouth, no way, really? Disbelief, right? The other thing, no, you're shitting me, dude. Disbelief, right? Prove it. Disbelief. If the girl that you're thinking about talking to in class right now, if another guy in your class comes up and says, I saw her treating another guy in a different class the same way she's treating you in this class, you wouldn't take his information and say, all right, I'm gonna ghost this girl and not talk to her no more. You're gonna need to get that validation first. You need to verify the source of information. You don't believe it on his face. Now, if dude walks up with pictures of the girl kissing another guy, oh yeah, you're satisfied. Like, bro, I seen her making out with the dude that dropped her off today. Look, here's a photo. Yeah, you're satisfied. 100% you would want that. But would you be able to say that you married this girl, you've been living with her for a number of years, you're home early or whatever, mailman comes by and says, oh, bro, some dude's been coming to your house every day for the last couple of weeks while you were at work, like Drew Hill. You're not gonna believe him. Is that right? You're shitting me. Let me see. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna try to verify and validate the situation. You're gonna go to work the way you normally go to work so that she thinks that whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. You're gonna get off from work early, or you're not even gonna go to work. You're gonna leave the house as if you're going to work. You're gonna leave it gone long enough for whatever that normally happens while you're at work to be happening. Then you're gonna come home from work early. You're gonna walk through the house and see what's going on and try to catch him in the act, because you need the verification once you get the information. You're not, and the truth of the matter is that just like women are deceitful, men are deceitful too. Just like women sabotage each other's relationships to keep the women single and get the man that they want, because the women want what they can't have. A woman wants a man that's taken more before they want a man that's not taken, right? Because if a man's not taken, unless he's wealthy, no woman wants him, because women need collective validation. But likewise, men don't care if a woman has another man. A lot of times, even though we have the bro code is for the honorable men. The dishonorable men will sleep with your girl in front of you. There's a term for that, right? So the fact is that if a dude wants to break you up so that he can sleep with your girl, he'll come and tell you that she's cheating when she's not, just so that y'all can break up. If you challenge her by bringing the information to her, hey, so-and-so told me that you're having an affair, most people lie. She's not just going to come right out and tell you the truth. Yeah, I'm having an affair. A lot of times, no, he's lying, blah, 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 blah. If you love me, you'll trust me, right? So how do you verify? It's the word of a stranger versus the person that you fell in love with, right? So that puts you in a compromising situation. You don't want to know, because if you find out, your relationship is over. You want to know because you don't want to be made out like a fool, but you don't want to know because you know that if you find out that what they're saying is true, you are going to end this relationship. And you've put a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort into this relationship, and you don't want to start over. So you don't want to know because you don't want your current relationship to end. But you also don't want to be played like a fool. So you're right, it is a tricky situation. So from the dynamic of truth, I wouldn't tell the guy nothing, but I would stop messing with the girl. I would not destroy whatever they got going on. If he finds out, hey, I'm an open book, full disclosure. But if he don't find out, I am not going to be the one to drop that grenade on his marriage. Because here's the thing. Both men and women cheat in a marriage when there's something missing out of the marriage. So while what she did was wrong, there was something her husband wasn't doing in the relationship that compelled her to walk out of the relationship and start sleeping with the other guy. Whether it was a lack of emotional attention or whatever, a lack of physical intimacy because the dude's working too much or whatever he wasn't doing in his relationship led to her cheating on him. Now, they got to fix that. It's not for me to fuck that up. I'm going to let her know, now that I know that you're married, you need to fix your marriage and stop fucking with me. I'm going to block her and that's it. If she fixes her marriage, she fixes her marriage. If she doesn't fix her marriage, she's going to find somebody else to cheat with, and that's when she's going to get caught. But clearly, when dude told other dude, found out that one of the children wasn't his, so even if it's not, even if the extra child doesn't belong to the dude that snitched, she's already cheating on this dude enough to have children with multiple baby daddies, lying to this man about how this kid is his, and she's cheating with you at the same time. So you the extra affair. That wasn't none of my business to say nothing about nothing. So now you just destroyed this child's life, because here's the other problem about that. The man who was parenting these children, he's not going to want to provide to this child anymore. This child is not his blood. He's not going to want to care for this child anymore. So now this child is going to be rejected by the only father this child has ever known. And then the man's going to divorce the wife. The mom is going to have to take this one child and disappear. And the man is going to try to keep the other kids that belong to him, which is going to separate this child from their siblings. And it's just a complete disruption of a household that was completely unnecessary. That's why I say, nah, if it was on my side of the situation, on the receiving end, would I inquire on the news? Probably. But Would I want to be the guy that caused all of that? No, I wouldn't. No, every man would reject the extra child. Every man would reject the extra child. Only when you're adopting children will you accept children that are not yours. When you think that these children that are being naturally born in your presence are your children, you are not looking for extra people's children. And in that dynamic, when you find out that the child that was misrepresented as your child is actually not your child, where you didn't adopt this child by choice, you were tricked into this child being your responsibility, that is going to always be rejected by the man every single time because of the deceit. Now, had she got pregnant, had she told him the truth, had he said, I don't care if it's not mine, we'll do a DNA test, we'll find the father, I'll adopt him anyway, blah, 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 blah. Then he knew from the day he took this child in till now that the child's not his. But if he thought this whole time that the child was his, God forbid the child had a health issue that needed bone marrow from a relative, and that's when you find out while the child is about to die that you are not the father, so you can't give the child bone marrow. That's not when you want to find out that this ain't your damn child. When they need a kidney or a liver, you're not a compatible match because that's not your kid, right? But you've been paying for this child this whole time. Yeah, every man would reject that, you know? But that's the reason why I would not want to destroy that man's life, because whatever he did wrong for her to be cheating on him, the same way if a man was cheating on a woman, whatever she would be doing wrong for her husband or boyfriend to be cheating on her, that's between the two of them. I'm just going to remove myself from the situation because I don't want to contribute to infidelity, not with knowledge. I don't mind sleeping with a chick that I thought was single with no husband, no kids, or nothing like that. But as soon as I find out that she's got fucking responsibilities that she's not taking responsibility for, that's all right. I don't want to have nothing else to do with you. Because how are you going to get with me and be a better person than what you are right now? Because you have responsibilities with them, meaning the husband and the kids and everything like that your ass ain't doing. So what would make me believe that you're going to behave better with me now? That is the reason why I would be like, nah, fuck that. I'm out. If you're dating a girl on a rebound where she just broke up with her boyfriend, you are not the last one. You are the next one, because whatever the fuck happened in that relationship that caused that relationship to fail, she hasn't had time to fix herself from the failure, because she contributed to the breakup too. It wasn't all the other guy, right? The only time it was just the other guy is when he was beating the shit out of her. That's it. But if he was beating the shit out of her because she wasn't following instructions, while you're not going to beat the shit out of her, you're going to get a girl that doesn't follow instructions. So she didn't fix her involvement in the last relationship in either dynamic. And as a result, if you put yourself into a relationship with a girl that just got out of a relationship within the last 9 months, bro, you're ending up with volatility every single time. Every single time you're ending up with volatility, because whatever she didn't do to her ex, she's going to take it out on you because of her baggage from her last relationship. The way he did, that's why she's behaving this way with you. And you're supposed to be understanding and allow this negative behavior to occur. No, fuck that. I would prefer a psychologically and an emotionally mature and healed individual. So you might have to be single for the last 2 or 3 years, where you worked out your bitterness from your most recent relationship before you come talking to me. Even if I'm going to date a woman with a kid, I would prefer not. But if I were dating a woman with a kid, how old, Stephen, do you think the child should be before you start dating the woman? Michael, you can throw in a number too. If you're dating a single woman, how old do you think the child should be before you start saying, yeah, it's okay to start dating this single mother? I want to see what y'all got to say before I throw this out there. And make sure that y'all like and subscribe as we get through this. I thought y'all would have been faster with throwing out these numbers. I'm not Dario. He said I'm not dating a single mother. But Stephen, no, but hypothetically, because I agree with you. You're 36, I'm 41. We don't need to date single mothers. We need to create mothers. Okay, I agree with you on that. But hypothetically speaking, what age do you think the child should be for you to be able to safely get into this relationship with the single mother. I just want to see what you guys think, and I'm going to give you some logic behind this. Okay, I'm going to give you guys some logic behind this. 18. Okay, wrong. Okay, well, yes, okay, that's a good age. That's a good age because they're grown and they out of the house. But if babies having babies, she was 16 and the child is 18, right? That would make her 34, which is 2 years younger than you. If you're 36 and you're dating a woman 50% of your age plus 7, right? So 36, that's going to be what? 18 plus 7, which is 25. If she's 25, her child would be anywhere between 10 and 5 years old right now, right? You're not going to wait until that 25-year-old's kid becomes 18, because that means that 25-year-old's kid being 18, she would be like 41 or something. So if you're dating a 25-year-old and she's got a kid, what do you think the age would be? Logic dictates that you would be most effective, and I can do some background research on this to give you guys further fundamental knowledge on this. The child should still be single digits and out of diapers, and preferably no longer being bottle fed, eating solid foods. So somewhere around 5 years old, 4, 5, 6 years old, something like that. Why? Because they're still at a young enough age to be receivable of a new father figure in their life, so you're not going to deal with a rebellious kid. They're old enough to be self-sufficient to a degree, which means that it's easier for you to teach them and train them and groom them. And she has had 5 years detachment from the baby's daddy, more often than not, unless they're on this like co-parenting thing with the out-of-home care thing. And in that situation, I'm still with you, Stephen, like, fuck that, I'll wait till the kid's 18. But if the father's not in the picture at all for the last 5 years, you've emotionally removed yourself from the father, and the child should have been out of bottles and diapers for the last 1 to 2 years. So you should have been working on yourself now while raising this kid for the last 2 years. Now is a good time for me to step in and say, okay, well, I can take this 5-year-old and your improvement, and the two of us can move forward together, where you might give me 3 more kids. We got 4 kids. One of them's not mine, between 25 and 35, right? And the first kid respects me as the father. Oh, I completely understand that, Stephen. But one of the things that we have to remember is that in Western culture, women are whores. So the fact is that more often than not, you're not going to find a woman without a child, unless they've been getting abortions their whole life. More often than not, the older they get, the more likely they're going to have at least 1 to 3 children. So you're 36, you find a woman that's 35, you usually have 3 or 4 kids. A girl's 28 usually has 2 kids. A girl between 18 and 25 usually has at least 1 kid. There are some women that don't have children until they're in their 30s, career-driven women. But those, just because they don't have children, don't mean that they haven't been having abortions, which means that they're still going to have complications with their childbearing. If you're not interested in having a child, you don't have a problem with dating a 41-year-old woman that's already past that cycle. But the fact is that if you find a person, because this is going to be the problem. This is going to be the problem. The older the woman gets, the harder it is for you to find one without a kid. You can find more 18-year-olds without a child than you're going to find 25-year-olds with a child. You're going to find more 21, 22-year-olds fresh out of college or fresh into college, partying at the bars and living life like rock stars that haven't had children yet. But you're going to find just as many 28, 29-year-olds that got pregnant when they were 21, 22 years old. So if you're looking for a woman with no children, you're looking for a younger woman in the first place, which is going to be a little bit more difficult for you. So you're 50% of your age plus 7 is going to put you around 25. You're looking at women that are 22 because they're less likely to have children. I agree with you. So the child, another woman, I am on the same page as you. A woman with a kid has more responsibilities that I want to deal with. But If I find myself with the person before I find myself finding out about the child, and then I find the child at that 5, 6, 7 year old age where they are still cooperative and impressionable, then you have the capabilities of blending that already existing family into your family. I would be less objective at this point than what I would have been 5 years ago when I was your age. And I agree with you. It's going to be a deal breaker. I want all of my own kids. I don't really want step kids, but I can't say that at 45 or 51 that I'm going to say no to at least one of them not being mine. I am going to say that I'm going to kind of try to weed out communication with individuals. And if I find one that doesn't have kids and is willing to have kids, because the ones that don't have kids at 25 and 26 and 27 years old don't want kids ever, whether they had abortions or not. And that means that you're not going to have those kids. So one that's already had kids is more open to having more kids. So if she only has one, that's where I draw the line. So while one is a red flag, one is a compromisable red flag. 2 or 3, no, that's all right. I'm not even going to go down that path, because the average woman is not willing to give 5 to 7 kids unless you're doing Latin America. So 2.5 kids, which is 2 kids and a baby on the way, 3 kids total, that's the max. So if she's already dropped 1, I'm likely to get 2 more kids out of her before we start reassessing our finances and saying we can't afford to have more. So no kids is better. No kids is like the golden goose. But like B class, that's 1 child. After that, it's total and utter failure, right? Or not even B class, it's like C class. Is A class is a woman with no children, C class is a woman with 1 kid, and anything below that is a failing grade. So you know, but it when you start having children with multiple women, you start not giving a shit about having multiple kids with multiple different baby mamas, having multiple different baby daddies. Because if you've got 2 or 3, 1 or 2 women, well, if you have 2 or 3 women that have at least 1 kid for you, you're not going to care if another woman has 1 or 2 kids that are not yours, because your kids are still accessible. So it just depends on how you pull that situation together. But the older that you get, because you're 36 right now, but give it 5 more years, 5 or 6 more years, you're going to start saying, you know what, I might, depending on the circumstances, and these are going to be some very, very tight, very, very extreme circumstances, I might accept 1. I might accept 1. It's a huge might. It's like a 20% chance, but I might accept 1. 2, definitely not. And it's 1, it depends on a lot of things. But if the kid is highly cooperative, if the wife is obedient and highly cooperative, we can grow together. We can. She's young enough to have more kids. This, that, third. Yeah. But if all of the like that's such a deal breaker that if the other 90% of her situation doesn't mesh well, I'm gonna be like, nah, fuck this. This is too much. All right, let's touch base with another one. I think we got a couple more.
BF is subscribed to his ex's OnlyFans. I am currently 27, have been dating my boyfriend, who is 31, for 6 years now. We've lived together 4 of them. We share a laptop and are both logged into our emails on it. I was using his browser yesterday and didn't realize until I went to Gmail. I saw an email that said new login on OnlyFans, and my heart just sunk. So last night while he was asleep, I looked through his phone and found screenshots of his ex's OnlyFans. I was able to guess the login for his account and confirmed that he was indeed subscribed to her. I looked through his transaction history, and he hasn't paid for anything in a few years, but has been on and off paying for stuff the entirety of our relationship. I'm not sure how long he's been following his ex. I need advice. Our living situation is complicated and we have a 1-year-old son, so breaking up isn't as cut and dry. I haven't confronted him about this yet, and am very detached emotionally right now. I don't know what to say to him. I invaded his privacy a lot, but given what I found, I feel it was justified. I just don't know how to even bring this up. I feel numb and sick.
Okay. Stephen, you're correct. She was snooping. My advice to her would be take you some Tums, drink you some Pepto-Bismol, shut the fuck up, and leave this shit alone. So first and foremost, I know a lot of people are gonna be like, yo, that's hard. Look, bottom line, the first thing y'all need to do is separate y'all shit. Don't have your stuff logged into his devices. That's the first thing. Because certain shit's none of your business. Steven said, he pays the bills. She is scared to lose the money. Yeah, she's scared to lose the money. That's every single time when a man does something. Well, no, the man didn't do anything wrong. Okay, per se. The woman is insecure and emotionally compromised by the dirt she dug up, minding somebody else's damn business. Now, she might drop the situation the way she wants to because she got comfortable with the standard of living she got with this dude. But she now holds resentment, and she's going to continue festering that resentment because she's not communicating with the guy about the fact that she found this shit. However, Schrodinger's box, Pandora's box, opened this on her own. So she set herself up for failure. She should have left that shit alone. She doesn't want to lose the lifestyle that she has. One of the biggest things that happens with women with children, they don't want to leave the child with the father and go somewhere else. They want to structure a dynamic where they can leave with the child and potentially put the man on child support. Okay? Which makes absolutely no fucking sense. Because whatever she's got going on, she can leave the child with the father. Leave. Go stay with her family. Leave the child. Let the man figure it out since he fucked up the relationship. And then he's not even going to ask for child support. He's going to figure this out on his own. Right? She can start a whole new life somewhere else. But the women take the child. Then the women use that as some kind of merit to say, well, I'm valuable in a relationship because I bear the children and I take care of the children. No, you accidentally drop kids because you have unprotected sex with people that you weren't planning on being a parent with. And then you keep the kid because you want to, and sometimes because the child is a free payday for you. There is no social expectation because statistics show that men do a better job of raising children than women do. There's no social expectation that dictates that you should have the child. It should be co-parenting, if not the child primarily with the father. So here's the issue. Since she went snooping, because she saw something up on his phone, on the email or whatever, she was in the wrong email. What she should have done is stop there. Notify her boyfriend, hey, I was on the computer, this shit popped up. I don't know what's going on with it. Get rid of it. Plain and simple. That's it. That's all she had to do. She did not have to know how deep this shit went. All she had to do was tell him two things. One, make sure that you log off of the computer so that I don't find this shit. And two, whatever that is, get rid of it. I don't have no resentment towards you. I don't have no beat because I didn't find nothing. I just seen an email that I didn't like, and I only seen it because you didn't log off of the computer. Right? Now, for me, to prevent this from happening again, I, as the girlfriend in this example, would have made sure when I get on the computer, since I understand that my partner may not log off of the computer, I would manually log off of any active account that's on the computer first. Then I would log back in on my own personal account and then just use my account, which would prevent me from accidentally stumbling across whatever my partner's got going on their side of the computer. However, as a man, what I would have is more than one of everything. I got 2 TVs, I got 2 refrigerators, I got 2 computers, I've got 8 cell phones divided between 2 people. We don't even use the same refrigerator. I got 2 microwaves. we don't share the same. So there's never a scarcity of resource. There's twice as much stuff that needs to be here. So your usage should not cross over my usage. Right? Now, she fucked up the moment that she started digging. She had to guess his password, so she broke into his account. There's some legal implications there. She spun around, and after that, found out here's the golden ticket for her relationship. He has not made purchases on this account for a few years. Now, not a couple of years, a couple is 2, a few is 3 or more. She said that they've been living together for 4 years. So at least for the last 3 years, he hasn't been buying shit. Maybe in the beginning, he might have been for whatever reasons, but y'all got to understand, this is an OnlyFans girl that he used to smash. She's saying date. He had friends with benefits situation with this chick that turns out to be a porn star, and now he is in a relationship with this girl. At the end of the day, if me and what's that girl's name? Abella Danger. If me and Abella Danger had something going on for a while, I was the masked man in one of her videos for a while, right? Now, whatever woman, if I had an account back in those days, probably because I was getting paid for doing it, whatever woman I date after that, because one of the things that women don't understand is that when a man is done with something, he doesn't log off and delete it and screen everything. He only does that when he has a untrustable woman in his life. Men don't delete their history because they have nothing to hide for themselves. They delete their history because they're hiding their past from their chaotic girlfriends and chaotic wives. If the wives and the girlfriends weren't chaotic, men would have connections to people that they have not talked to in years and not know about it, and it would just be data space on their computer. But because a man's history from 20 years ago can be thrown in his face in 2026 for something that he was doing in 2006, that's why a man has to screen his computer, ghost all of his history, delete his GPS locations. Men have to go into their Google accounts and delete all of their travel history from all of their Google accounts to make sure that she doesn't know where he's been or what he's been doing or who he's been doing it with, to keep her from using her insecurities from a past relationship to compel her to find infidelity in her relationship. And she doesn't have to find infidelity in her relationship. She just has to find an inconsistency in her relationship. And that is going to be a red flag for her to go and say, he's going to cheat if he's not cheating already. And then the other feminist movement is going to jump in and they're going to promote the fact that he's a dirtbag because he didn't remember to log out 5 years ago and delete his account. He's a dirtbag because he used to pay for this stuff a long time ago, but he stopped when he started committing with you. He stopped probably when you moved into the house, right? Now, the flip side is, though, when men say that a woman should delete all of their social media accounts when they get into a committed relationship, why should I delete it? I should just put it on private and log off of it, maybe delete the app and just don't log in for a while. Why do I have to delete because of the same dynamic. If a woman doesn't have to delete her contacts, and she feels the freedom to let guys slide into her DMs and have appropriate conversations with dudes in her DM on social media, which that never happens, right? Then a woman should not be insecure about a dude having anything on his device, especially something that he hasn't had connection to in years. Now, if he would have been having direct conversations with his ex, now I would tell you he's a piece of shit. But you're telling me he has not used the platform in multiple years. Let me ask you something. Is a gamer really a gamer if he hasn't played a game in the last 5 years? He would be a retired gamer, right? Steven said, I'm not sharing a computer, but at the same time, I have nothing to hide. You're right. But imagine this, Steven. You remember your last girlfriend. Your communication with her is still in your phone. Most of the time, we have an auto overwrite that only overwrites certain stuff, but it doesn't overwrite everything. A lot of the times we don't even have that. And since we buy the iPhone and the Samsung Ultras that have the 0.5 terabyte of data space on it, 260 something gigabytes of data space on it, There's so much data space on the phone that we can save 20 or 30 years worth of text messages. So imagine, Stephen, you got nothing to hide, right? You're not going to do anything wrong, but you're dating a chick that goes through your phone and then finds phrases with your last girlfriend from 5 years ago that you still use with your current girlfriend today. Yeah, they're good lines. They're ways of how you express yourself to your romantic partner. Now she's going to challenge everything you say to her as if what you say is not genuine. That's the kind of behavior that women have. Yeah, no, that doesn't matter. He said, I switch phones many times, always forget emails and create new ones. Okay, so if you have a phone that you have had the same email attached to that phone, contact list, text messages, everything attached to that phone, that was active and used with your last relationship. That last relationship's text messages are still on your phone because your phone auto updates, it backs up the data and then transfers it over to new phones. So if your last relationship was in the last 10 years, if the email that you're using right now for the phones that you got right now is the email that you were using 10 years ago when you were in that relationship with that girl, I guarantee you that if you go through your phone right now, you will find her contact information and you will likely find the last, you might not find everything that y'all ever said to one another, but you will definitely find the last handful of text messages y'all sent one another on that phone. Because when you update the data from your last phone to your next phone, when you replace phones, your contact list, your text messages, and a lot of your photos are uploaded to your new device. Everything that is stored in the cloud gets uploaded to your new device. Your communication logs get uploaded to your new device, which means that if you don't manually go into your phone, delete your ex's phone number, and delete the text messages that went with it, your ex's communication can still be in your phone. You don't know it because you don't go looking at it. It might be really far down at the bottom because, as you know, whenever you send a text message, it takes that contact and moves it to the top of the list. You have your list of favorites that are pinned, and then the most recent people that you texted. If your ex is from 5 years ago, she might be towards the bottom of the list, but her communication logs are still in there. And that's why when a woman finds your text messages with another woman from before her time, she had to really go back into the history of your phone because it's not the last 5 contacts that you talk to. It's about 70 contacts down. And that is where she found, oh, who's she? And then click, oh, I love you forever. Oh, you're my world. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And, oh, he told me this just the other day. Let me go talk to him. Right? That's what's going to happen. Because they scroll back to 2015 and find that contact from that one chick that you gave sweet nothings to. That's the toxicity of what we find. Now, if you set those non-negotiable expectations for behavior, create boundaries that look, don't go doom scrolling through my contact list. Don't go doom scrolling through the history of my phone. Right? I don't have anything to hide, which means that in my present, if I tell you to go and get something out of my phone, you're not going to get a text message from a chick that I'm not going to be able to explain. You're not going to get an email from a chick that I'm not going to be able to explain. You're not going to get photos from anybody that I would have to explain, right? Because I have nothing to hide. However, that doesn't mean that you should doom scroll through my phone to go find anything that exists from before the day I met you. Now, you set those standards. If she's going to respect those standards, we're not arguing about if you found something from before we met. What we're arguing about is the fact that you went looking for it. Is that I would be impressed with that if it happened. Sign her up for detective school immediately. Bro, most women, so because the average Western woman does not treat the men the way the men deserve to be treated. Specifically because women will crush a man's masculinity into submission in order for them to have a submissive boyfriend and call that equality. They don't treat the man the way the man deserves to be treated. They're always afraid that the man will leave. And that is why women are such good detectives. They call it women's intuition. But if a woman's intuition was so good, she would know when her man is unhappy. She would know when her man is uncomfortable. She would know when her man is in pain. And she would do what it takes to stop his pain, to stop his discomfort, and to keep him happy, which would keep her man from leaving. Most women give two shits about their man, as long as he pays the bills, takes care of the kids, whatever, buys her things that she wants. That's all her value in him is. As long as he puts up the money that I want him to put up to maintain the lifestyle that I have right now, that's it. I'll feed him whenever I feed the kids. Fuck it. That's it. So since they know that they are not upholding their end, they always believe through self-guilt that he's going to leave me for somebody else. Why? Because some other woman is willing to do what I'm not willing to do and do what I do better than what I'm doing. That's why. So he's going to look to see, has he found somebody else yet? Right? It's just like when you're a shitty employee on the job. You go look and see when you go look and see when training days are to see how many people they hire. You go and look and see what positions they got hired for to see if they got hired for your position, to see if they might replace you. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. If you were on probation and the probation officers in the neighborhood, you're wondering if they're coming to look at you and see what you're doing. You know you ain't been doing what you were supposed to do. You hoping they don't call you up for a random drug test because you ain't clean right now. If you rotten dirty in your car, when you pass by a squad car, you're forever looking in the rearview mirror to see if they're turning around, come behind you because you know that you're not legit right now. You're hoping they don't come and pull you over. Everybody has that instinct when you know that you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Your hyper vigilance got you on a lookout for when will the other shoe drop and I end up in some bullshit that I can't get myself out of. Right? With that dynamic, that's where the insecurity of women will go snooping. So yeah, they're all detectives. They're all fantastic detectives. Why? Because it's better for me to pack my bag and make it his fault and walk out of the relationship than for him to throw me out because I didn't do my part in the relationship. Society will dictate that I'm a bad person because I got thrown out on my ass because I didn't do what I was supposed to do. But society would praise me as a victim and then give me more resources if I blame it on the other person. So let me make it their fault so that I can leave with my pride still intact. Let me ruin their reputation so that I can leave with my integrity still intact. But I'm the reason why I'm leaving. I fucked up this relationship. That's why I'm leaving. Nobody's willing to admit that for themselves, men or women alike, right? So yeah, he probably could have not been looking at porn, probably could have not been investing in Pornhub. And it doesn't matter if it was his ex, since his not Pornhub, OnlyFans, probably could have not been an OnlyFans subscriber. But one question that we couldn't ask her was, did he meet her on OnlyFans? Because I mean, birds of a feather usually. He said, I'm legit and still hyper vigilant when cops are nearby. I was going to the laundromat yesterday with the music up and had the cops behind me, and that old paranoia kicked in. That never goes away. And that's exactly my point. That's exactly my point. As human beings, we're always concerned that the other foot's going to drop. So when we do not have that psychological and emotional comfort, we're going to look to see if we're in a bad position. When you were being followed by the police, you were making sure that cop wasn't about to pull you over by looking in all your mirrors to see if their lights ever light up. Then when they pass you by, you get an air of relief. In a relationship, women go through the history of your phone to see if you've been watching porn, to see if you've been talking to other girls on social media, to see if you've been texting other girls, to see if you've been receiving calls from other women. And if they can't find anything, to get an air of relief. But let a woman call you. It could be a business call, but because there's a female on the caller ID, who is that? I should not have to justify that with you. If I wanted you to know, once it happened, I should have come and talked to you about it. If I didn't want you to know, then you don't know about it. So the fact that you found out about it, the problem is you went looking for it, not the fact that you didn't know about it. So you should be able to trust me to behave accordingly. Now, since it's a double standard, that's why I say in a relationship, everything should be separate. Your cell phone should be treated like the little black book, or should be treated like a diary. It is the most personal part of a human being in the modern era. So your cell phone, your email, separate from her cell phone, her email. You got a laptop, she's got a laptop. You got a tablet, she's got a tablet. If you have a universal email that's used to log into the stuff around the house, to function stuff around the house, that's it. But your personal email should not be logged into nothing that her personal email is logged into. And change your passwords regularly. He said, I'm still trying not to look in the mirror too much, not to get pulled as well. Heart racing, feeling anxiety, and nothing illegal going on. But see, that exact feeling, that's the exact feeling that women get when they start snooping into their boyfriend's phone. The anxiety that they feel that the relationship might be over because he might be involved with someone else. That fear, that paranoia, that sick to the stomach feeling that the lady was just talking about, that feeling is what happens right before they start snooping. Then if they find anything, no matter how insignificant it is, the relationship is over because I can't look at it the same way anymore because I found that he's got a membership with a porn site. I can't look at him anymore. He hit a heart button on TikTok on this girl dancing. I can't look at it in the same way because he thumbs up on Facebook a photo of one of the chicks that he used to go to college with. You know, dude is not describing how he's going to turn a female inside out in a comment section of an email. He's not doing it. He's just thumbs upping a photo or thumbs upping a video, right? And all of a sudden, she's making it seem like he face planted this chick and just like cleaned her out. Makes no sense. But it's that same insecurity. It's that same insecurity. Because if he could like the photo, he could send a message. If he could send a message, he could get a response. If he could get a response, he could set up a hookup. If he could set up a hookup, he could hook up. If he could hook up, he might hook up. If he might hook up, he might leave me. That is the rabbit hole that women go down. And I'm just like, bro, it's too much. He said, you are a paid membership of this and that. And what is her name? You're on the couch because you have to explain it to. Look, I'm gonna tell you, look, real talk, because this is a live podcast about dudes. For every female that does get into the membership, you're gonna have a dude that's gonna be like, what's up? What's with this? Right? You're logging into this dude. But the difference is gonna be is that when she says, oh, he gives out financial information, dude's gonna be like, yo, let me see. Shit, we can use this, right? But if I would have been a hot chick giving out financial information, the same way Cooking with Kaya was showing people how to cook food. Oh, you can't look at that because she's shaking her booty on the thing. Well, she shouldn't be shaking her booty on the thing, but you can't look at her cooking food. But my girl ain't cooking food. You can't watch this chick give out financial advice, but my chick ain't giving out financial advice, right? So my advice to women is, if you have already done your damn snooping, instead of being resentful to your man, what you do is non-judgmental, non-resentful, non-retaliatory, find out what piqued his interest in that person or that person's actions. and then try to incorporate those interests into your behavior patterns. If he liked the outfit that she was wearing, see if you can get one similar. If he liked the dance that she was doing, see if you can do that dance for him at the house. If he liked the food that she was cooking, take your ass home and cook him something to eat. What you're missing out of your relationship, he's replacing that with what is seemingly considered harmless visual gratification from social media. Whether it's porn sites, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever the case may be, he is replacing what you're not willing to do with his visual entertainment on social media. So don't go through a man's history so that you can curse him out about what you're not doing at the house. Because if you were fulfilling all of his needs, he would not need social media. He's got plenty of free time to doom scroll to get that video to pop up on his phone because your ass is ignoring him in that moment. But let's be real quick. Now, this is going to be the last thing I got to say about this. When women want attention, they will stand in front of the PlayStation and make the man lose his game so that he can give her attention. When the men want attention, notice that I stopped because there's nothing that we can do to get it. So at the end of the day, since she ain't giving me no attention, I'm going to doom scroll on his phone. I'm going to jump on the game with my bros. We're going to figure something else out. But there's nothing else that I can do because my girl ain't ready to give me my attention. So if I'm preoccupying my time in a moment where I'm not getting attention from my girl with something that my girl doesn't want me to pay attention to, then start giving me attention in that moment. Give me the attention that I'm longing for so that I'm no longer putting my attention towards something that you don't want me to put my attention towards. You don't want me looking at other chicks wearing attractive outfits. You wear the attractive outfits at the house with me instead of you only wearing the attractive outfits outside of the house. And then you got sweatpants and bonnets and long tees with ketchup stains on it inside the house. You dress attractive at the house for me so that I can look at you all day instead of looking at the girls who dress attractive in their house on the video. That's how you resolve the problem, right? Because if a manager wants a crew to work harder, they're going to do one or two things. They're either going to give the crew a raise or they're going to hire new people and then say whoever works the best gets to keep their job. Incentivize. If I'm the employer and you want more money from me, I'm not giving you enough money. You're going to work harder, then I'm going to give you a raise. If you want your man to give you attention, if you want your man to stop addressing his attention somewhere else, you have to take his attention away from the things you don't like by doing the things that he needs you to do. And that works on both ways because when a woman needs attention from her man, a man needs to stop prioritizing his job and start prioritizing his woman so that she gets the attention from him, not the tennis coach or the pool boy. Right? Same thing. She's not going to be best buds with the barista at Starbucks if you're going to Starbucks and getting her Starbucks for her. So reciprocation. Now, that's the last one that I got for y'all for tonight. So remember tomorrow we're going to be talking about this third term thing. So we got a lot of stuff to go off of. So I want you guys to start talking about it. I know Michael's going to start throwing up a lot of promotions for Donald Trump because he was trying to do it today. He was trying to slide it in there. Every Republican worth their weight in salt is going to be diving in tomorrow's show. So I want you guys to make sure that y'all stay tuned. I'm going to be giving you guys highlights and updates about what's going on with the strait, but nothing much has happened except they're trying to work around not having access to the river, the water, the ocean, the shore, right? So as soon as things start changing, I'm going to give you guys some updates on that and then give you guys updates on how things are impacting us. But I'm going to figure out what's going on with that virus thing, and then I'm going to probably cover that next week, Monday. So I'll be letting you guys know about that. Make sure that you check the next 7 days and make sure that you hit the notification button on all the shows that are currently listed because the whole week is up there already. Make sure that all the days, especially Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, that you hit that notification button so that you're notified as soon as we start the show because we don't start at the exact same time, but we're around about the same time every day. Beyond that, I want to start off by saying, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. Fellas, I give you guys this information to make you guys higher value men, not just by improving your financial life, but also improving your personal decision-making skills. When you pay attention to the things that are inside of your control in your life and make changes to the things that you don't like, you can then navigate around the things that you cannot control, which improves your life all the way around. Ladies, while this is a male-driven podcast from a male's perspective, you too can take this information and use it to make yourselves higher value women. Finding and figuring out and organizing your 20 and 30-year plan, and then reverse engineering that's what you need to do today. Start proactively performing your 20-year plan while keeping your eyes and ears open for the appropriate suitor that has the right character and personality, drive, ambition, integrity, determination, motivation, and cross-reference his 20-year plan to see if his 20-year plan can mesh well with your 20-year plan. And that's when you find the type of partner that you can grow with. I tell you guys on a regular basis that 2 people can make it to $1 million faster than 1, but it requires both of you to have the same long-term satisfaction over short-term gratification desires. Because if one of you is saving and the other one's wasteful, whoever's wasting the money is going to cause the person saving the money to have to offset the loss of money, where you guys will never be as successful as you would hope. So whether you're the problem or your partner's a problem, the 2 of you will not be able to come together and make strides if one of you is fucking up the money. So you have to make sure that you're dating a partner that has long-term goals of financial success, so that you guys can make those decisions together collectively and make yourselves the success that you're looking for over long periods of time. A 13-year marriage, y'all should have had at least $500,000. I don't know why you don't. I do. I know why you don't, because y'all was wasting money living paycheck to paycheck lifestyle creep, but you need to cut that shit out. Because, I mean, you're living an upper middle class lifestyle in the Philippines for $24,000. There's no reason why in $92,000 in America that you can't get a middle class lifestyle in 40 states, 40 of the states at least. So you guys just got to figure out how to reorganize things, live a modest lifestyle, not an inflated lifestyle, and then take the extra money and put it towards your future, so that when you reach that age where you no longer want to do it no more, or you're no longer capable of doing it no more, you can say, fuck this shit, I'm out. And you can stop. And the money that you have worked for can pay for your current standard of living. And if you wanted more money, because your base standard of living is already covered, you can start up your own business, do your own side gigs, and make extra money to pay for entertainment and travel and everything to that effect, and never have to worry about where your money's coming from to pay your bills, which gives you more time to work for yourself because your baseline is already covered. Now, that's all I got for you guys for tonight. I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command.